What did I do with that thing? Oh, it's so squeaky in here today. Amethyst in. Black kyanite on. Good morning to you. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. Happy Saturday or Sunday. Anybody still on Friday? Probably not. Time is just an illusion, they say. Is it? Or is it just our experience of it that's an illusion? Hello, Lalori. I'm in a security blanket today. I needed a security blanket today. I'm just a little bit early, so we're going to wait until 10 before an official start occurs. Let me get my thing out here. I look cozy. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. And so unrelated to being in the Twilight Zone, or maybe kind of related to being in the Twilight Zone, I spent last night playing Minecraft with my son. And of course, we stayed up till 2. And I was like, okay, that's it. It's time. We got to go to bed. I got to get up and do shit. He's like, but I don't have to. Can I stay up? So, but it was my attempt to escape the Twilight Zone. But it's just another alternate reality. Minecraft. Otherwise, my world is in a grand reordering. My world is in a grand reordering such that what was up now calls itself down, and what was left now calls itself right. Blues look a little bit pink. Purple is starting to appear red. You know, the Twilight Zone. Do you remember, did you ever watch the Twilight Zone? Anyone ever watch the Twilight Zone at all? I remember a particular episode that always stuck with me. And I believe the episode starts with a woman in the hospital after a surgery, some sort of facial surgery. And she's all wrapped up in gauze. And you don't hear, I mean, you hear, but you don't see anybody in the hospital room because everything's filmed from behind her gauze. So you get this really interesting experience of being behind this gauze. A camera had been sort of wrapped with gauze, right? And she is sitting there and you hear them all talking. Oh, I hope it worked. I hope she's okay. Gosh, it was so horrible before what happened, but I hope she'll be all right. And they slowly unravel the gauze from the camera to show you, this feeling of you being revealed to this room full of people who are very concerned about your well-being. And the last bit of gauze that is peeled away from her face leaves everybody else in the room in shock. You see them all just go, okay, I know, it's exciting. They gasp, cover their own faces, and the camera cuts just to the point where you can see them gasping and covering their own faces. Oh my gosh. And everybody goes, oh no, it didn't work. Oh no. And the camera pans to the lady. And says, no, the camera pans to the woman who just got the surgery, and she's gorgeous. Right? You look at her and you're like, what's wrong? What the heck is wrong? What do you mean? What's wrong? What do you mean? What do you mean? And then the camera turns to the doctors and the nurses and everybody else in the room, and they all have these big pig snouts, right? So she, who we would say is absolutely beautiful, is terribly ugly in this whole other reality in the Twilight Zone. Lori, my answer was that I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. And I stayed up late playing video games with my son as an escape from the Twilight Zone. All right. Good morning, everyone. It is now just after 10 o'clock. Good morning, Juliana. Welcome in. Welcome to another CAYA classroom session. Thank you. This beautiful shawl I received from a beautiful friend of mine, and it's so soft. See, Ajna even loves it. He wants to be in on the action. Here, do you want me to let you in? Hold on a minute. Come here. There you go, puppy. See? And it's big enough to encompass us both. Okay. Welcome in. For those of you who are new here, my name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and your shenanigan shaman. This is Ajna, our 3-year-old blue healer. Yeah. And he's been really sticking close to us this month as we explore our Inner Light series this year. This month is September, my birth month, and the month that we are working with the brow chakra. Mostly learning about the brow chakra in these sessions, and then also learning about how either tools to align our brow chakra or how it feels when this chakra is out of balance or in balance. This is the last Saturday of the month. So if you've been here for a little while, hopefully you've received at least a few tools. We've done breath work. We have done mudras. We have done visualization practices. If you were here at any of the other Saturdays, hopefully you have started working with your third eye, at least with the simple practices like staring into your third eye. We even last week talked about sun eating through your third eye, much safer than sun eating through your earth eyes. Right, Aj? Aj, no, you don't look at the sun. No, you don't, just through your third eye. You do? Okay, good. I'm glad. You need those eyeballs to work well at night, huh? So Ajna, I was trying to make that a segue and I went ended up getting off track. Ajna is the name for the third eye chakra. Hold on, I realized I was not mirrored here, so let me mirror this. There we go. And I'm gonna erase these. Oh, maybe I won't erase them. We can talk about these as well. Hi, puppy. You're not gonna spend the whole time in my lap, though. It it's not today. It's not today. It's not today. It's not today. Sir. Sir. Okay, we can't have a long class because I gotta take him to the RIVER. We can't say that word out loud. So we've been talking about lots of things third eye related. Again, I will remind you that I do have a shop. I am Move with Change over on Patreon, and follow me on YouTube. Both places are free to give me a follow. And my Patreon shop is a place where you'll get updates when I change my schedule or add new classes or other things. And it is also where you'll find things like the cheat code PDFs. Every single month this year, we've gone through a different layer of the energy body. And so I made a cheat codes PDF, a PDF actually, and I shouldn't just say it's not just one page, it's like 3 pages, I think, for the PDF. It includes the overview of that particular part of the energy body. Remember that we haven't been just doing the chakras themselves because there's a lot more than 7 months in the year. So we started with the aura, right? And then we went to the koshas and the elements inside of the system. Your aura is that outer layer of your toroidal field, what we often think of kind of as the energy bubble that we live inside of, whereas the koshas are the layers or the sheaths of self that are inside of the self. These consist of things like your intellectual body, your emotional body, your wisdom body, your bliss body, your physical body, right? What was that question? Hi, Tony. Lori, when might you do the throat chakra? So we did the throat chakra last month. We actually started with the with those first 2 layers in January and February, and then in March we went to the earth chakras and the lower minor chakras. I'm telling you guys the schedule for it. Thank you, friend. So that when you go to the shop, actually, you don't need the month. It'll just tell you aura, koshas, elements, root chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra. We have gone all the way up to the brow. This is September, so October we're going to do the crown chakra. Then November we're going to do the soul star chakras and the upper minor chakras. We'll talk about chakras in the hands. We'll talk about chakras in the face and fun stuff like that. When we did the lower ones, we talked about chakras in the feet. So there's cheat codes for, and when I say cheat codes, what I mean is, let's see, let me list them all off because I don't want to miss any. What I mean is several pages with mudras, mantras, sounds, breath work, visualizations, asanas, herbs and stone pairings, energy healing techniques, nutrition tips, as well as reflection questions for every single layer that we've gone through so far. So again, next month is the crown. Then in November, we'll do the earth star and the upper minor chakras. And then in December, I was doing a really good job of keeping it a secret, but I divulged it a couple weeks ago and I was too excited to keep it a secret anymore. We're going to start a 40-day Kundalini Kriya. We're going to use December to focus on raising our Kundalini energy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you are just now joining us, don't worry, you can still join us for December. You will benefit more if you have been practicing at least the foundations of mindfulness, right? One of the tools I offered, thank you, Monica. Hey, friend. One of the tools I offered this month is a Trataka meditation, is the opportunity to stare into your third eye through the mirror, right? This is an opportunity for you to practice mindfulness. Simple staring meditation can be an opportunity to practice mindfulness. Every time you walk by a mirror or reflection, pause and look into that third eye. We also talked about practices using our awe using I haven't figured out a name for it. We have cool names like Guru Venus in here, and white nosing, but I don't yet have a term for that. But we'll find one. We'll figure it out. So the Kriya, that's what I was talking about. The Kriya we're doing in December is a foundational Kundalini Kriya. It's called the Sat Kriya. I am working on creating a timer, and I'm also working on creating I finished the reflection journal for this practice. Grooviness. That is profound, right? That was a couple weeks ago, Tony. Were you in here for that? Yeah, we were talking about, your guru-ness. Groovy gurus, grooviness. So the Kundalini Kriya we're doing is the Sat Kriya. Here is the way I like to structure things, just so you have a heads up on this, right? In December, starting December 1st, we're going to do this Kundalini Kriya every single day together. That means I will be live for at least probably 15 minutes, if not 20 or 30, because I usually like to chat about things. But this practice is only a 3-minute practice. It takes in total, between getting into the practice, the mantras to open the practice, and giving yourself rest after the practice, you're talking more like 5-6 minutes, maybe, depending on how familiar you are with the practice. But because some people are new to this, we're going to take our time with the practice. So anyway, the way I like to do these things is to offer them for free first, so that we can do this practice together. Starting December 1st, I'll be live for free. I was going to say on TikTok and YouTube, but when I do Kriyas, I typically just go on TikTok live every day because I can't bring both devices with me everywhere we go, but I'll try. So if you're over here on YouTube and you want to make sure you catch that every day and you're not on TikTok yet, you might have to bridge that gap and jump over there to make sure you catch me live, because sometimes I'm out in the car or out in town and doing things. So we will do this Kriya together. That means that if you want this practice for free and you want basically the free class to teach how to do it and to practice with me and with our community with this Sat Kriya, then you're welcome to join us December 1st for 40 days. So yes, that will roll over into the new year and into January. Once we are done with the 40-day Kriya, I package that up and offer it as a workshop for sale in my shop. It allows me to create kind of a little bit of background revenue, which is really important right now. So if you want to join us for free, and if it's not something you're going to want to buy, then make sure that you show up every day. I know that sounds like a hefty order sometimes, to show up at the same time every day. In the yoga world, we call that having a sadhana. And a lot of times in this space, we talk about rebuilding trust, about having to build trust, having to rebuild trust with ourselves when we've come this far and realize that we didn't really value ourselves. We didn't really take the time or give the time to self-care or self-development or even just self-reflection on certain things. So a lot of times we reach a point in our journey where we go, oh my, I have kind of left myself in the dust. Oh goodness, I sort of left myself behind. I forgot about myself, parts of myself way back there in the back of my mind, and allowed them to kind of just be forgotten. So when we reach that point on our journey, it's really powerful to develop a daily practice. Because as we said when we first started, right? Time. What is time? I feel like I'm moving in the twilight zone lately. And so it's been a big question of what is time? What is every day? What is this illusion, especially after staying up until 2 a.m.? What is this illusion of this transition between each day? Because we know if we stay awake this entire time, then we don't actually experience that same transition. Yes, the sun rises and the sun sets. I don't know if you've ever done so. I have tried to stay awake as long as possible without any supplements, and I made it 3 whole days. Do you know what happened at the end of 3 days without any sleep? I started to hallucinate. I started to not to be able to tell if I was awake or asleep. So it was quite the experience, and I Actually, I wouldn't say I don't recommend it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Give it a shot. Try it out. Tapping, that sounds like a really good idea. I feel like I need to re-tap into the Twilight Zone movies or shows because I don't know. The world is anyway. So why sadhana? Blindly evolving hay. Why sadhana? Why a daily practice? I have so many other things on my to-do list. My schedule is so packed. It's just I can't fit me into every day. That's too tall of an order. Isn't it funny when we say it like that? Even if you start with 3 minutes, 3 minutes of nothing, or 3 minutes of a practice like this Sakriya that we will be starting in December. Start showing up for yourself every day. You want to hear your intuition better? Hey, Glitterbee. Right? We're working with the Ajna chakra, the third eye chakra, and we're all focused on increasing our intuition or hearing our guides or understanding our higher self better, right? Being able to have those communications better and with more clarity and more focus, right? We'd love to be able to ask the guides and to get a clear, definitive answer on how to move forward. Do you want to get to that place? Part of that requires showing up every day. Because for what it's worth, we do have this illusion that there is this separation between today and tomorrow and yesterday. At the very least, you are with you every day. And there's no escaping that. So why not? Why not give at least 3 minutes to build a relationship with the person that stands beside you every day, that holds your bones together every day, that shows up for you when you're triggered and scared every single time. Glitterbee, my Discord failed me. I was going to post that we were live. And it's already there. Yay! I do have an automatic post over in the Discord. If you want to join our little community of folks gathering together to do this work, to learn to show up for each other, for ourselves and for each other every day in generous ways. And I believe I was just given the term this morning, the platinum rule, right? Showing up for ourselves the way that we really want to be shown up for, but also showing up for others the way that they really want to be shown up for is a practice, is a necessary, a very necessary practice, especially in today's world. If you're feeling those external struggles and divisiveness, almost always those things echo inside of ourselves. So, being the last Saturday of this month working with the brow chakra, I really want to focus on answering questions about the brow chakra. I'm happy to answer questions about your particular energy as long as it's not too personal or too deep. I don't give nutrition recommendations or dietary recommendations on lives. If you want that kind of stuff, I do have coaching memberships over on Patreon. I can't say that too much. Otherwise, TikTok will ding me and take me off the FYP because apparently I'm not allowed to tell you to go anywhere else. The only place in the world is here on TikTok, everyone. All of that said, remember that I finally wrote this cool little book. Burke. I wrote just Burke. It's going to be a day, y'all. User 81348987500063. My third eye has been aching. Can I ask you what you're doing? What is there any particular thing that it's attached to, first of all? And second, what are you doing for that ache? I've been a distracted baby this month, so I need to go watch replays over the YouTube. Yes, remember that we have replays from all of this year's classes on YouTube. Usually I put classes away each month, but because I decided to focus only on these lives and we had to narrow them down because my life turned into the Twilight Zone, all those replays are open. All those replays are available. If you, like somebody in here asked before, um, when did we do the throat chakra? All those throat chakra classes are over there on YouTube. So I wrote this book regarding the energy body and how our bodies are programmed by the current system, by the current paradigm. It's a culture, it's a process called the enculturation process, and every single person goes through it. The important part is knowing what happens during that process and how it literally wires you to be you. And then also how to rewire that and how to recognize where some wires are crossed or need to be updated, right? So that book is called Energy for Sale, The Energetic Blueprint for Consumer Conditioning. It is available on Amazon. I did not put it on my showcase today just because we're trying different things out. However, we are doing a raffle. Today is the last live that you can enter this raffle. It's for a signed copy of my book, and there's two ways to enter. You can either send the gift goal. It's the Polaris solar star thing majigger over here on TikTok, or you can go to Cash App, and that's for either YouTube or TikTok or anywhere else. You guys can go to Cash App, drop a $5 donation in the Cash App for 2 entries into the raffle to get a signed copy of my book sent directly to you. Here on TikTok, you only get 1 because TikTok takes 50% of the gifts that I get here on TikTok, and they take up 60% of the revenue that I make. And now they're doing some weird other tiered thing going on. And I don't even know. I think they just complicate it to make it look more complicated to keep you confused. Lori, I do have Venmo. I don't know what the tag is for that. Lori, will you message me? I will make a note here, but will you message me and I can send you that tag? And let me catch up Vox. They are ridiculous with the cuts. Yeah. They can take up to 60% of what the creators make that you like. Please remember that, everybody. It's important. Here's the catch. The kicker is that it helps the live. If you're gifting or tapping or commenting or interacting, it helps get the live out there, right? So that's beneficial. But every time you send one of those gifts, know that your creators are getting about 50 or 40%. That was simple math. That took a lot of brain power. You see the whole system stopped. Yeah, but they overdraw how much that's worth. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Haley, how are you? Let me see. User, I'm coming back to you here. I've been showing it for myself to practice every day at 5:30 a.m. for almost 2 months. Qigong. Awesome. So if your third eye is aching, right? Okay, first of all, you are your own guru, right? We always start there. You are your own guru. Anything I suggest or any things that I offer, of course, are simply gifts, and they're available for you to pick up, open, and use, or just leave there if they do not serve you. What I find is if I'm doing the exact same practice for an extended period of time, sometimes even just a couple of days, it can throw my system out of balance. Remember that your system is a lot like a pendulum, right? That swings through center. If we push ourselves to, what do I want to say there? In Ayurveda, there's this understanding that when we do the same thing for several days or more, it's actually 3 days or more, it can overload our system with that thing. And sometimes the thing that's pulling us out of balance can also be the thing that we start craving when we end up out of balance. Now, Qigong is a beautiful practice, right? But any practice or anything done with too much intensity can stress the energy system, can stress the body and the mind, right? So I encourage you to maybe mix up your practices. I wonder if you could do a different version of your practice or do a different focus of your practice. Energy work is a very real, very visceral experience, especially if you've been practicing Qigong. You probably know that experience of energy moving through you. You are a vessel for this energy. And sometimes our energy is really stuck or gets really stuck in certain places. If you're having an ache in a particular place, maybe give that particular place a little bit of soothing energy or a little bit of rest. So if it's your third eye and you've been working with Qigong, which can move a lot of energy, I would suggest maybe a practice that doesn't require the movement of energy, but requires just resting in that energy, maybe a more yin practice, just for a couple of days, and see if that offers relief. Or, right? Or we can also talk directly to our systems. If you sit in meditation and ask your third eye, what do you need? Sometimes it's just so much pressure that we're putting on ourselves. I always just say that the energy body, right, working with the energy is not a no pain, no gain kind of space. Working with the energy body is like working with air. It's like being an air bender, right? Again, as you know, doing Qigong. And so when we find that there's force or it's creating tension in our systems, just rest. I think that's just my biggest suggestion. I don't really do the what does it mean thing, because it means what it means for you. But in my opinion, the first thing I do when I experience stress or tension in a particular part of my energy body is I rest and I inquire and I allow that part of me space and time to tell me what it needs or just to regroup. Let's see. Haley, I'm doing okay. Happy to be with people who care about healing themselves. I haven't been here in a bit. Your hair has grown. Thank you, friend. Yes, my shaggy top. I don't even know. It's in that stage of not knowing what to do with it. You're very welcome, user 813-4898-7500063. So do you practice any mudras? I'm a huge fan of mudras because they're very gentle, often very gentle. Not all of them are gentle. I don't know why I have my pin in my hand and I'm playing with this pin. I apologize if you guys might hear the clicking and things going on. I must be. Oh, because I was writing down a thing. Lori wanted Venmo tag. Okay. You're not familiar with mudras. Okay. So maybe you'll enjoy this, especially if you're a fan of Tai Chi or Qigong, excuse me. So you're probably familiar with this one. This is a mudra that is, again, a foundational mudra. It's probably the most common mudra you will ever see. All you do is bring the tip of your index finger and your thumb together and then keep the other three fingers extended. A brief note about mudras. When we hold our mudras with intention, not tension. What does that look like? No intention at all. And I'm not doing anything with my hand, right? Tension. And I am squeezing those fingers together, really tightly extending, making it like this. You can see the veins start to pop out in my arm and my whatever. I can feel it up here in my shoulder. It's starting to pull on the muscles in my neck, right? There's tension there. We don't hold tension in our systems very well, right? Hey, cheesy rat. So instead, we hold our mudras with intention. Thank you, friend. So bring that index finger and thumb to meet. This is a nice connection. Remember that energy, right? These are energy channels. So we squeeze those energy channels. We can actually limit the amount of energy moving through. We just need that intentional connection and then extend those fingers with intention without creating tension. We go ahead and just rest that. This one is face up on the thigh, right? Or on the knee. This is one mudra. Turning it down actually makes it a different mudra. Thank you, friend. Those are cute. So this is the Gyan mudra, and one of the most foundational mudras for one of the Did I say I'd stayed up till 2 a.m. playing Minecraft with my son? Does it matter left or right? Not for this mudra. You can use left, right, or both. Remember that the right side is your lunar or pranic energy, and the left side is your yin or apanic energy, downward energy. So with the Jnana Mudra, a lot of times you'll see people sitting in meditation just holding this with both hands on their thighs. Let her be Minecraft party. We should. So the Jnana Mudra is, again, one of the foundational mudras. It's going to help to calm the mind. It's going to help to center your body, still the air in your body. And you can hold this mudra as long as you'd like. I always suggest holding mudras for a minimum of 5 minutes because it takes about 5 minutes for energy to circulate through your system. So if you've been doing a lot of active energy practices, I invite you to then now balance that out with some inactive or invitational practices. So the Jnana Mudra is one of those, and this will help with that third eye space. So this is the channel for air, and this is the channel for fire. Now, air feeds fire, right? But also fire consumes air. So in that way, this ends up balancing it out through our systems. Sometimes I like to think of it like opening up your house in the spring and letting the wind come through, right? The breeze come through. This isn't a huge breeze that's blowing through and your papers are going everywhere, right? Your flower vase is still on the table. This is a nice, open those windows, open those doors, and just breathe within that space. Jnana Mudra. It's also said that this mudra invites wisdom because, again, it's one of the foundational mudras for mindfulness, and mindfulness is to be full. Be full of mind, but not in the same way that are full of junk in our mind. Anyway, so I highly suggest that mudra, especially if you're new to mudras and just starting out. The other one, it's Saturday and I'm on. Hi, Born to Bark. We're reviewing some mudras right now. Yes, Haley, I can feel my heart beat through the vessels in my fingertips. One of my favorite practices, as soon as you notice that in mindfulness, your heartbeat is a really powerful anchor for mindfulness. So when you are sitting in there, in that practice, and you feel your heartbeat in your fingertips or in the side of your neck or in your arm, right? Or somewhere else, wherever you feel that heartbeat, immediately focus your attention on that heartbeat and see if you can experience that heartbeat as it spreads through you, right? If you feel it in your fingertips now in the Jnana Mudra, then I invite you to feel into the palm of your hand. Can you feel it there as well? When you feel it in the palm of your hand, move to your wrist. Notice the pulsing in your wrist. Mindfulness is to be aware, fully aware of the present moment, to have your mind fully in the present moment. One of the best ways to do that is to listen to your heartbeat. It's an ever steady, ever present anchor. And it's one that we say, oh, I can't hear my own heartbeat. What are you talking about? Sit with me, sit with this, and listen. And at some point, you will hear that heartbeat. Wow, Rev, I didn't realize I could really feel it if I tuned in the individual spot. And Haley, don't stop there at your wrist. Allow it to go all the way up your arm. Take your time. Again, notice each time. Don't move too quickly. We're not speeding through this. We're really waiting. We're inviting the sound, the feeling of the heartbeat, the sensation of the heartbeat to echo through our entire being. A practice that like I said, I love so deeply is just that. As soon as I notice my heartbeat, I give it all of my attention and I allow it to spread through me. And before you know it, you're sitting there in awe of your entire being going bubble, 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 bubble. This is how, if you'd like to feel energy, if you'd like to feel that movement of energy, if you want to know that it's existing, it's there because you want to experience it on a visceral level, it requires that level of mindfulness, of being present and aware of those subtle sensations that run through you. Remember that our enculturation process intentionally has disconnected us from our natural rhythms and from the subtle sensations that occur in our body. I remember growing up and being told several times that, oh, that's just your body doing stuff. Oh, that's just your body. And I was like, but I can feel all of it. Right? I can feel all of this stuff going on, and nobody has an explanation. Nobody has a name for it. What do I call it? Oh, it's just your body. It seems so amalgamous and so benign. I'm like, but that's not, there's something deeper. I know. I know I missed a couple comments here. Let me catch up. Ginger, did you buzz it at one point? I did in August. Now it's barely growing a tiny bit over my ears now. Yes, last year on my birthday, early September, I shaved it all the way down to the skin. And then I think I did so again in like October or something. I think I did it a couple times last fall. But this is where it's at now. I have a hair growth secret. I have a witchy concoction that I use on my hair. It's a combination of oils and herbs and essentials and essential oils, carrier oils and herbs. I think I made a video about it one time. Okay, just catching up here. I'm late to the live. That's on me. I'll catch up. What's late? What's late? It's only 10:30. I just barely got here. I don't know what you're talking about, Born to Bark. Cheesy Rat, don't forget to check out Energy for Sale. Get your copy of the book in the showcase. Thank you. Is it in the showcase today? Okay, good. Thank you, friend. Haley, I needed this more than anything today. Our bodies are so beautiful. Monica, oh. Born to Bark. Are we in control of or victims of It's Just Our Body? There's another option. I am not the controller of my body. I know that my body has its own capacity to operate. I don't control my heartbeat. I don't control my breath, right? And yet, to be a victim of would be to imply that I am being overpowered, overruled by them, sometimes to my demise, right? I know I'm just playing semantics here with you, Born to Bark, because I like semantics, because words are powerful. I like to say that life is either happening to you or through you. Life is either happening to me when I am too rigid and too stuck where I am. I think of it like the river, right? If life is happening to me, it means I'm holding onto a rock somewhere in the river. I am holding on, or I'm trying to swim upstream, and I am a barrier that life has to move around. And that is a different way of being in life than to allow life to happen through me, to be with the water, to move with the water until the water itself breathes through me and echoes through my pores and swims through my organs and nervous system and things like that, right? Water is such a magical, powerful analogy and thing because of that fluidity that it has, because of that constant, ever-changing ability to adapt and to move with whatever is in the way and to move whatever is in the way. Right? Think how powerful the rivers and the ocean and whatnot can be. If you've ever jumped from a too high spot, you realize that that water that's so easy to slip into when you're walking becomes concrete when you hit it from that high up, right? What a dynamic thing. Imagine. You don't have to imagine. You're made up of 70% water, the same percentage as the earth. Be the water. Be like the water, right? Oh, that's a magnificent visual. Yeah. Love to find that video about the hair growth oils. Let me see if I can. Let me ginger crouch. Again, if you can remember to send me a message, Sometimes I lose my Post-it notes. I should find it again because the little magical thing I created has lost all the ingredients on the jar. Blindly evolving with working with my brow has really stirred up chatter in my mind, a lot of negative self-talk. So I've used this month to investigate that place. Beautiful. And this, I love that you're sharing that. Thank you so much, Blindly Evolving, because it's so important to remind ourselves that when we see this shadow self, this negative self, this combative or attacking self that makes us feel victimized, right? That is our perspective that we can shift. I am not a victim of the self talk in my head. If anything, the self talk is a victim of my circumstances and of my cultural conditioning, right? And so, how would I meet a victim? I am not the victim, but that part of me operates as the victim was because it was victimized by the cultural process, right? Or decided at some point, some way, basically to simplify that this is how we stay safe, right? So many of us have those negative self-talk. This is how I stay safe, by worrying and worrying and worrying and worrying. But in fact, I am just calling in so much more of that lower vibration energy. So how then, what do we do? Meet them with curiosity and willingness. Meet them like you would someone you knew had been victimized and had been hurt long ago and was still stuck in that same pattern. You'd hug them. You'd offer love and compassion. Thank you, friend. We talk about this in terms of anxiety, right? I still experience anxiety, but I experience my anxiety as my friend Michelle, who comes with me to the grocery store or wherever we go out in public. As soon as we get in that car, sometimes even before we get in the car, Michelle is like, when I'm even grabbing the freaking keys. We were going to go out to pizza yesterday with my son and I was like, Michelle was so loud. How did I treat Michelle? How did I used to treat Michelle? Right? Ah, God, you're so annoying. Can I have a moment of peace? I'm just trying to go to the grocery store. I just want to go out to why can't we just go out to pizza? I'm so broken. I'm so something. It's all me. Now I turn to Michelle like I would a friend and go, are you okay? I mean, we don't have to go out for pizza. We got stuff we can make our own pizzas here. And then we can play, board games or whatever, watch a show together. I don't know. We can negotiate with each other. We can meet ourselves with compassion and go, hey, you're important here too. And that's how we build trust. After so many years of stepping over those feelings, stepping over those moments when part of us says, thank you, friend, part of us says, please stop. How many times in your life have you told someone else, please stop? And it's been ignored. How does that feel? None of us like that feeling. And yet, so often, again and again, we meet ourselves every day like that. A part of us says, stop, just for a second, just stop. And we go, no, I got shit to do. We got places to be. Your feelings don't matter right now. You're not important. It'd be so hurtful if we said that to a friend. But we do. More often to ourselves. Thank you for reminding us, Blindly Evolving, that when that negative self-talk comes up, especially when we're working with the third eye and we're working with those parts of our system where that negativity is stored, where the misalignments live, right, are rooted or manifest. The bravest thing that we can do is to be curious and willing enough to just hold space. I say curious and willing, right? Because curious and willing are at least opportunities to receive. I can't always be loving. I can't always be patient. Sometimes I'm not fucking patient, especially with me, right? And on those days, again, forcing myself into a position of not being authentic and going, okay, I'm patient, is disingenuous to me too. And this isn't about somebody being right, somebody being wrong. This isn't about somebody sacrificing and for somebody else. This is about us both showing up to the table authentically. And how do we do that with other people, right? By learning to do it with ourselves. I love that you hit the T in often. Let me see. I know I missed a couple of things there. Born to bark, I am responsible for my own life sounds like a burden, but it's actually liberating and powerful. It really, really is a fine line to walk, especially in blame culture, right? Especially in a culture where we are victim blamers, right? We say innocent until proven guilty, but that doesn't, but lying, right? Or false until proven correct is what our victims get. How do we face mistakes? How do we face shame or guilt when we say to ourselves, I am responsible for my own life? That means I am responsible for the times that I have hurt others. I am responsible for the times that I have weaponized my own hurt to attack someone else. I am responsible for the misguided beliefs that led me to do things or say something that hurt me or someone else, right? Or screwed something up. I don't know. I guess it always, for me, comes down to whether or not you did the most. That's such a rabbit hole. Because we got to talk about karma. We got to talk about right versus wrong. We got to talk about our attachments and desires and fears. And selfishness versus selflessness versus self-centeredness. How do we find that center? How do we find that place? How do we meet ourselves? I think the only way to get to that place, that center place, is to meet ourselves outside of those doors first. We have all these parts of ourselves holding barrier and protecting what's most precious inside of our most innermost temple. I like to say that your system will protect you from even you as long as it has to. And yet I am responsible for meeting myself. I am responsible for the manifestation of me because nobody else ultimately can be. What a gift and a burden. But as I've done this work, I've learned to love my burden, especially after so many years of feeling like a burden to others. It has been really powerful for me to say, damn right, you're a burden, and you're my burden. And I will show up to carry you any day that you cannot walk. And I will show up to hold you any time that you feel alone. At first, it does feel like a kind of loneliness, like a kind of sadness to meet yourself there and say, okay, well, I guess no one is coming to save me. But that's when our epic adventure really starts. Because it's then that we finally pack up our own stuff and we open our own door and we make our own choice to take those steps every day. Thank you, Bella B, so much, my friend. Let me put you into our raffle for a signed copy of my book. Thank you, friend. User, I'm glad you're using that mudra. I've got a couple more to offer as well. It's so relaxing and so soothing. Okay. So we're doing our drawing for the a signed copy of my book at the beginning of October, at the first Saturday of October. Let me catch up on comments here really quick. Born to Bark, you got my book. Yay! Haven't started through it yet. That's all right. Jump right in. Even reference different, what's it called? If you want to look just for the parts of specific chakras, just do that. The first section is actually a pretty quick run through of like the historical stuff and whatnot, because I like my history and I like connecting dots. But read it any way you want. Just go with the reflection questions. Just thumb through and find reflection questions and answer those. I don't, it's not meant to, it doesn't have to be linear. Go to be meeting the self-talk like it's one of the crew. I would have never seen them in that way before now. And that's just it. You have allies. Your emotions, your ego, your self-talk, your triggers, right? These are all your allies. They are here protecting that innermost treasure, right? Even from you if they have to. They're waiting there, diligently guarding your treasure until you are ready to carry that with responsibility. Born to Bark, I worried really effectively on that. And how did that actually help anything? Yep. Brahim, hello. Brow chakra discussion. What points did we cover so far? Everything below the brow. Yeah, we've been through the entire chakra system already this year, except the crown and then the soul stars, what we're going to be doing the rest of the year. And again, it's the last Saturday for the brow chakra. So if you have specific questions or you want specific types of tools, let me know. I have a whole bunch of things that I can offer and we can discuss. A+S, hey, what you doing? Yeah, come on over. Come hang out. My world's in disarray right now. I'm in the twilight zone. It's the perfect time to come hang out. User 813, let me 0063. Your user 0063. Is it best to order your book through Amazon? Right now, that's the only place to get my book. And I want to say ironically or unironically, I don't know. But it's there because it's the easiest, quickest way to get it distributed to everybody. It's print on demand so that I don't have to have any, copies in hand. And yeah, so it is available on Amazon. There is a link on my Patreon page, I think, as well as my bio, and then over there on YouTube on the description. Seraphim, hello, friend. Aloha, Jack. Welcome in, everyone. Seraphim, is Ajna the throat chakra? Looks like vocal cords. Ajna is the brow chakra. Vishuddha is the throat chakra. So we've got what's interesting, every month I've been drawing this symbol for the chakra because the symbol for the chakra has meaning to it. What's interesting is the number of petals around the chakra, around the core of the chakra. So for example, the root chakra has 4 petals, right? The brow chakra has 2 petals, but the heart has 16 petals. I forget exactly. I got to look at the symbols because you can tell with the symbols. But the symbols, the number of petals are attached to the number of minor channels that connect to that particular chakra. So for example, the heart chakra has all of these connections to all these other places in the body, right? The brow chakra, while it is connected into the body, it actually is where our left and right, Ida and Pingala energy channels connect to our chakras. And this is what helps the wheels or creates that spinning vortexes. You imagine the nadis, as they're called, connecting to either side of your brow chakra and like pulleys, like a like a belt, goes interacting or interlacing through all of the different chakras. And so this is how you can get an idea of which chakras are yin chakras, which chakras are yang chakras on the front side. And then the back sides of your chakras are then the opposite, just like the hemispheres of the planet, right? If it spirals this way, which our third eye spirals this way, why does it spiral that way? Let me get to that. Let me catch up really quick, and then we will get to the structure of this turning of the chakras. Thank you, Devin. I like the knitting collated too. Seraphim Soul Stars will be interesting. So that will be in November. We'll be talking about the Soul Star, and we'll also be talking about the minor chakras, the face chakras, hand chakras, minor upper chakras. We earlier this year, I think it was in March, we did the minor lower chakras and the earth chakras. So if you want to revisit that, you can go on YouTube. My replays are there from March. And then you can also go and get the PDF from my Patreon shop for the lower chakras or the lower minor chakras. There's a whole 3 pages of different mudras, asanas, mantras, urban stone pairings, nutrition tips, energy healing, reflection questions, all sorts of stuff like that. I was hoping to make this all into content and put it out, but I ended up, my life took precedence outside of making content, unfortunately. So it's in my cart. Awesome. Yay. 0063. Thank you, friend. Hi, Leb. Okay. So let me just catch up here. Let's see. We detected inactivity in your current live. Uh-oh, we're talking about good stuff again. Blindly evolving. Happy 999 again today. What? Is it? You're making me do too much math. my head was like, what? Curious if all the petals are even numbers or if there's also chakras with. Let's here. Silly me. I have the images of these things right here. Does the heart chakra or mind have the most connection petals? Actually, the crown chakra has the most connection petals. So the crown chakra has, I think it's like an infinite number of petals is what it actually is. There's a specific number, but we're not going to count all of those. So when you see the images for the chakras, remember that those are the minor channels, energy channels that are connected to those chakras. So for example, as we said, the root chakra has 4 petals, right? Perfect. Your birthday is in November. Yeah. Monica, I just got the wood cutouts, but they might be too big to use as a model. Well, at least to start, I think it's got to start big before we make it smaller, right? Thank you, Leb. It's been honestly, it's been chaos over here, but that's life. That's life. What the TikTok inactivity? I'm tapping. I know, guys. Okay, I've caught up on comments. All right, so let's talk about, let me see if they're all even numbers. I don't think they're all even numbers, actually. 4, 6, I think 12 is the next one. Maybe they are even. The throat chakra has 16. Yeah, 16. Heck yes, trying to figure out a way to connect, but also rotate. Okay, so this is what Monica is in there talking about here. Is we've been talking about creating a physical model of the movement of the energy body. Yes, so let's do this. I've got a whiteboard behind me. I might as well use it, right? Okay, so Oh my gosh, I left all of my dry erase markers in the house. Do I not even have one? Let's not use a permanent marker, D. Oh, I got some dry erase markers right there. We'll just use those. We'll see. Let's see what we can do. All right. 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, so you've got the brow chakra. Let's review briefly the location of each of the chakras, okay? The location, the front and back of the chakras, and then we're going to talk about the movement of the chakras and how they turn, okay. So we've got our root chakra. If you're sitting down right now, you're sitting on your root chakra. It's it's the bottom side of your vessel, and then your crown chakra is the top, which is on the top of your head. So this is on the bottom of your seat, your perineum, right? So that's your root chakra. Then second up, if you take your fingers, you stick your pinky and your thumb out, place your thumb inside of your belly button. I know that's a little bit weird. Place it inside of your belly button and wiggle your pinky down to find the top of your pubic bone. That section that you have here now between your pinky and your thumb, that's your sacral chakra, that muffin top area that we all got. Give your muffin top a squeeze. Tell it thank you for being awesome, being your umbilical cord to the universe, your breadbasket for receiving nourishment and care and intimacy. This is also your space for joy and movement and playfulness and abundance. Okay, so we weren't going to get deeply into each chakra, but we've got our root chakra. Then we have our sacral chakra just below between the belly button and the pubic bone. And then if you take your pinky and you put your pinky in your belly button and wiggle your thumb all the way up to the base of your sternum, that's a nice big area, right? This is your solar plexus. Then from the length of your sternum, pretty much, this is your heart. Put your hand over your heart. This is where your heart chakra is. And then your throat chakra is in the front of the throat here. And then your brow chakra is obviously up here between the brows, right? And your crown is on the top of your head. So if you noticed, as we said at first, the crown and the root are your poles, your positive and negative charged battery, positive and negative. Remember, we're taking the dogma out of it. Positive and negative simply just means polarity, right? This is my pranic, upward, active energy, rising energy, yang energy. Yin energy is my aponic energy, downward, resting, receiving energy. This is the energy of the womb. This is the energy of the sun, right? Okay, so those are your positive and negative poles here, the top and the bottom of your system. So then we have the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, and the throat. All of those I like to call my material chakras. Hey, Darcy. I like to call them my material chakras because they are parallel to the earth. The front side and the back side are directly, like if you were to stick this pin right through, it'd be right there on the back side. So the front and the back of the sacral, solar plexus, heart, and throat are directly parallel to the earth. So if you have shoulder issues between your shoulder blades, right? Upper back issues, it's related to the heart chakra. If you've got back of the neck issues, it's related to the throat chakra. Now, which side, which aspect, the yin or the yang aspect of that chakra is the one that you're experiencing struggles with? If you experience that knot in your throat, that's a barrier, an energetic barrier to the yang expression, to the active expression of your throat chakra. Issues with your neck and alignment back here, that is the yin aspect of your throat chakra, being able to receive somebody else's truth or receive communication. If your third eye chakra is quite blocked, you can actually experience a lot of negative repercussions in the physical body, but at the back of the neck. Why? Because you're struggling to receive this higher wisdom that requires, right, that your system requires to function well. Are you guys okay over there in the chat? Oh, Travis came in asking if we agree to his idea that this stuff is satanic. Again, we'll just briefly address it, because how do you tell people, how do you turn people away from the truth? How do you hide the truth from people? You don't hide it somewhere in the mountains somewhere. Somebody's going to find it and they're going to realize it's the truth. So what you do is you expose it to everyone and you tell absolutely everyone that, see this stuff, it's actually really wrong and really bad, and you should hide from it. You should run away from it. In fact, it's satanic. In fact, it's going to open you up to demonic possession. In fact, let me tell you all of the opposite things that are true about this. Can we open ourselves to negative energy? Yes, absolutely. Especially when we perpetuate these ideas that there is some overarching especially when we subscribe to the ideas of divisive rhetoric, essentially, right? We call that white nosing in here, where when we have agreed to hold up the wall, hold up the paradigm, hold up the false narrative of a culture that seeks to control you and keep you away from your personal power. What Christ taught us about was consciousness. Jesus, Yeshua, taught us about consciousness, and we call it, with Christ, consciousness is a state of being. It's an energetic experience that we experience, and we can learn that, how to do that, through these teachings that have been around since 1500 BC. These have been around before Christ, and he learned from these practices, and he practices these things. And in fact, when you see effigies of him, you will also see him doing mudras as well. And so again, this was the message, right? You have the temple of God within you. You are a child of God because you literally are made of the particles of God. You are with God at all times, and God is with you at all times. And the way to reach God, to ascend, is to raise your energy, is to raise your energy vibration away from these negative sort of ideas of this stuff is older than Satan. Exactly. These ideas of like good and bad and evil, and it's the paradigm. Travis, if you're still hanging out, I appreciate your bravery for hanging out while I explain that. And if you'd like to dive more into how we get manipulated through these dogmatic systems, I encourage you to grab my book. It's called Energy for Sale: The Energetic Blueprint for Consumer Conditioning. And I talk a lot about the historical aspects of how we end up being manipulated by our culture and essentially primed. I shouldn't say, yes, manipulated, but it's a priming. We are set up so that we will be triggered by certain things, or so that we can very easily be manipulated, right? Or pushed to believe something, or pushed to act a certain way because of the beliefs that were instilled in us when in our earliest during our earliest experiences, when we were most vulnerable to those things. And religion, unfortunately, has been a huge proponent of this kind of manipulation for a lot longer than capitalism has. Imperialism does its own damage as well. But so if you'd like to stay and hang out, you're welcome to do so, to learn about this stuff so that you can actually meet the Christ that lives inside of you, meet the experience of being Christ-like, rather than walking around judging, right? Because that's exactly what Christ said. We're not doing that one, right? Because me saying, I know what's right for you, I know the answer, and you don't know the answer, would be me being out of alignment with my authentic self, which says, I recognize that I have my own purpose and path and life to live, and you have your own, and you are free to live that. Without me saying, you should and you shouldn't. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to come take this information. This is information that I've studied for much of my life, between learning energy work as a child and then studying this stuff in college for more than 12 years, and then several years after of workshops and certifications to learn all this shit, to go, oh my gosh, it's all right here. It's all that obvious. And I can put it in a freaking book with bullet points to tell you how your system is intentionally being warped, so that you are unconsciously operating from places that aren't even yours, ideas that aren't even yours, things that do not even support your wholeness and your wellness, but in fact work to deteriorate you over and over again. it makes me a little angry about that, the paradigm that's the paradigm that we live in. That and that's why I wrote it, and that's why I teach for free, is because it makes me upset that there are so many people out there who have been manipulated to such a degree, and I was also manipulated, and I'm still being manipulated because I'm still learning to unfold all those things, right? But it makes me irate that we do this to our children, that we take the magic away from our children, that we disconnect, that we sever their connections with themselves, with their God, with the God that truly exists within here, with the essence of self, and with the courage and bravery and honesty that comes with showing up in a human meat bag. Holy moly, that's a miracle. And yet we demonize, condemn, and belittle and smash into a tiny little box these exquisite beings in our own arrogance and our own ignorance. Blindly evolving. Thank you for entertaining my nerd self. Absolutely. Thank you for giving me your nerd self. I love you so much. Fear is a liar. Blue October. I like that quote. Interesting. Tosh, I'm so excited about this book. Oh, thank you, friend. I'm excited about it too. Leb, well said. I tell people to spread the love they seek instead of the judgment they fear. But oftentimes that is how we, again, it's how we protect ourselves, right? If our belief is being challenged and who I am is contingent upon that belief, then you're challenging everything about me, and that is a threat to ego. And when ego is threatened, ego shows up as judgment and defensiveness and whatnot, and says, no, 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 no. Oh, we've spent a lot of time crafting this whole arrangement in here. You can't come in and start knocking shit over. We can't have shit knocked over, which is always to me an indication of a somewhat flimsy foundation, right? If my living a different way offends your whole being, then your foundation might not be as solid as you think it is. If somebody else's joy and laughter can knock over your whole house of cards, then maybe let's build with something else. Born to Bark, it can be stunning that we as humans have been trying for so long with insights. I'm just about to get back to this, guys, for so long, but we're still stuck. I think Born to Bark, if we zoom way out to the macro, I don't think we're stuck. I think we're going through cycles that we are so small that we don't always see. And they don't always happen in our lifetime, but they happen over many lifetimes and many, 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 many years. And we get so stuck in our little pigeonhole experience of life, and we're like, we're screwing it up. Look what this horrible spot we're in. But we don't realize that we're actually in this huge, beautiful, thank you. You just brought back my dream from last night, which I so desperately closed my eyes to try to get back. Thank you, Born to Bark. Juliana, was Jesus not a yogi? There are records of him going east and studying these things, stories of him doing these studies, right? Ginger, like all of us, he found this life for a reason, so hopefully he'll be back to learn more. I agree with what Thich Nhat Hanh said. One of my favorite quotes of Thich Nhat Hanh is that the next coming of Christ, or the next coming of the Buddha, is unlikely to be a single person, but instead a sangha, a community of people practicing mindfulness together. The idea that our evolution, our enlightenment now is not my sole path for me to go on my own, or for us to receive some singular entity or someone to idolize outside of ourselves, but instead to recognize that we are all given, born with, constructed with the capacity to be that as well. And I think the collective body becomes the body of Christ rather than the individual coming back as Christ. I heard somebody recently say something: Christ has already come back. Christ has already come back. And he lives in every one of our hearts. The question is do you allow him to speak through you, Do you allow him to guide your actions? Or do you allow the energy, right? Especially if we want to get away from the him, the her, the who, the name of the person, but do you allow the energy? Do you allow life, Christ, God, to flow through you instead of life happening to you? Where's God when life is happening to me? And when life is happening through me, I am in the river, in the body of God. Yeah, Christ was not actually his name. Right. Okay, so I'm sorry. I wanted to get back to this a little bit because we were talking about the structure of the energy body. Thank you all for letting me go on the little diatribe there. So we've got our poles are it's already going dry. I talked too long. Our yang and our yin poles. Can you guys see that? Not really. Holding it down. Okay, so our positive and negative poles at the top and at the bottom. The sacral, the solar, the heart, and the throat are all parallel to the earth. Again, I call these our material chakras because the front and the back is parallel to the earth. And these are all the ways in which I really interact with my life and with the material world. What's really interesting is we have a separate gateway between the sacral chakra and the throat chakra. So these ones, this is the first place we ask to receive. This is the first place where if I cry, my system expects for that cry to be answered, because if I'm asking for help, for comfort, for nourishment, for security, right? Very early development. So what am my system doing at that point? My system is saying, do my caregivers take care of me? Am I safe to be alive? And if I need something, will somebody respond to me? This is the foundation for how we later expect the world and other people to respond to us. That happens in the sacral chakra. So this is the first place that we energetically invite the world in. Before that, we're in the root chakra and we just am, right? We just exist. I just be. I'm in my body, I'm existing, and I'm in some eternity here in this space, right? Then we have a reason to rise that energy, to move that energy. And that's usually some sort of discomfort. And this is also one of the first places in which our culture thwarts our connection to our own cycles. Think about it. If I cry and have a need and my caregivers ignore me because they do the cry it out method, I don't learn to self-soothe. I learn that the universe is not responding to my cries for help. When I am hungry, if I'm not allowed to eat when I'm hungry or to nourish myself when I'm hungry, then I start to disconnect between my body's telling me I'm hungry and me going and taking care of myself. Instead, what happens, but we often feed our children on a schedule and we feed our children an exact amount of ounces and that kind of stuff every single time. How many times have we unknowingly been like, just one more bite? Come on, just a little bit more because the doctor said you're supposed to have this many ounces. This is how we manipulate our own and our children's systems out of paying attention to when they're hungry and when they're not. We do this for sleep as well. We do this for just our general concept of time. We stick it to a arbitrary timekeeper, that clock, rather than our own natural cycles. This is one of the first and biggest ways our culture cuts us off from our connection to self. So the front of it, again, is here in front of your muffin top, and the front of your muffin top, just below your belly button, and the back of it is directly behind there. So that means if you've got low back issues, you're dealing with an imbalance in your sacral chakra. Again, if you want tools specifically for your sacral chakra or for any of those chakras that I'm talking about, you can find them on my Patreon page, Move with Change. They're called cheat codes. I got PDFs with cheat codes for all these chakras, for bringing them into alignment. So Glitterbee, our poor parents and theirs were so bamboozled. Exactly. I actually went to college specifically because I wanted to be a better parent, because I saw and understood that my parents were really all over the place, scattered, not, doing their best, really doing their best. I came to understand that. No judgment there, but also so led astray by the culture. My mother told me stories about doing the cry it out method with me. and how awful it felt to her. And I remember asking, why did you do it? Because of all the cultural pressure for that. Helios, why are they called chakras? Chakra actually means wheel, or it's chakra means wheel, and so it's the motion of these vortexes, and we're getting to that point. It's a Sanskrit term, and it means wheel because these turn. These are vortexes that turn. Oh, Seraphim, Red Jasper, and Carnelian are some of my best friends. Yeah, I'm a big fan of orange. I went through a huge orange stage here to take care of my sacral chakra and to learn to allow myself to experience pleasure and joy and connection. And then I realized that instead of thinking that I was so closed off, I was actually the opposite. This is where a lot of times our addictions come from, or are rooted in our need to satisfy a real need that our system has. And sometimes that need is just closeness. Sometimes that need is just comfort. Sometimes that need is just to be heard, right? Okay, so what we're talking about here is this is the first place we invite the world in. So this is the in gate here, the entry gate. And then as that energy moves and grows, builds through these chakras, our solar plexus, my center for will, my question of what am I going to do about it? And my heart, my ability to connect with others as well as myself and hold space for a larger understanding of other people and our relationships and allowing people their authenticity and such things. And then we have the external expression here at the throat. The throat is the external gate. Think about it this way. Do we not, are our words, what we say, are they not influenced entirely by these beliefs here? By my belief of whether or not I'm safe, that's going to influence how I speak and what I say. My ability to believe that I am worthy of nourishment or that life is abundant, it's absolutely going to affect the way that I speak to others and what I say about myself and others and about the world. My center for will, my center for active. This is what I get up and do when I do shit. What do we call this in the West? The terrible twos. Because right here, we start to really fucking box in our children. And we say, you're supposed to do something, but not like that, and not like that, and not like that. Thank you again, Bella. So what happens when all that happens? And if I don't have the confidence to make action or be louder in the situation or state my opinion because I've been told that these things are bad or I'm not allowed to have them, or I'm a girl or child and children are supposed to be seen and not heard, it's absolutely going to affect the way that this energy comes out this gate, the expressive gate here in my throat chakra. Same with the heart. How is my heart? What are my feelings? Do I feel loved? Do I feel that others receive my love? Do I understand that others are deserving of love, even if I don't agree with them or love them myself? These are going to influence the way that external gate expresses the energy. Seraphim, I have to ask, is this coming from my heart or from my mind? Yes. And in fact, I would even go deeper. Ask if it's coming from your heart or somewhere lower. Because during these early experiences, remember, these chakras develop somewhere around, let's see, and this is a range, right? Remember that range. Fears, sorry, blindly evolving. I love you so much. I so appreciate you holding it down over there. I'm sorry I missed the chat sometimes. Root chakra. Remember, this is a range of development because we all develop at different stages, just like any other social emotional development, cognitive development, physical development. We all have a range that we are growing in. So we say about 6 months to a year for the root chakra development. Sacral chakra from about 6 months, as early as 6 months to about a year and a half to or so, right? Then we've got the solar plexus. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up here in the heart. Remember, the age of 8 is when we come out of the theta brainwaves, when our brain fully moves into the delta gamma brainwaves. We don't do that before the age of 8. We actually stay in the dream time. Theta brainwaves is the REM sleep time when you're an adult, REM sleep. That's why children are like, oh, I slept. Because there actually is no cognitive difference between sleeping and waking because their brainwaves are on the same wavelength. So And at that point, we come out and we start to deal with our heart. We start to deal with a greater connection to not just ourselves, but others and our relationships outside of ourselves. And there's a really great book about this stage of development that I love called Playground Politics. Playground Politics is where we start to understand relationships that are much more dynamic, not just me and somebody, but somebody and somebody as well, and not negating me and me in that relationship, right? Thank you, Adriana. I love this too. That's the truth. I can talk about it for hours, and I usually do. So welcome in, hang out. So we've got our throat chakra, our heart chakra, then 8, 9, 10. Now we're getting up into the throat chakra between the ages of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Mid 20s, mid to late 20s, your system finally finishes developing. And when I say developing, I mean creating the patterns that create you, that manifest your thoughts, the way you hold your body, what you eat, when you eat, how you sleep, how your hormones respond to the external world or to the internal world. Everything about the way that your system operates is rooted in the energetic patterns here in your development. Yes, we have temperaments, right? We have things that go on, but even my heart rate is going to be, my lifelong pattern of my heart rate is going to be determined by how these other chakras work or function. So Seraphim and anyone else, right? When you ask, is this coming from my heart? Is it heart centered? Because the center of my being is my heart, right? We got 3 here and 3 there. This is my center. So is it coming from my heart, or is it actually coming from that wounding when I was 4 and I got scolded really hard for just being loud? And it really, really triggered, right? One of those moments, that some of those moments in when you're younger, it's like, it wasn't that big of a deal, but in that moment, everything about me shrank and I felt my energy retreat and stay there. If the expression is coming from there, then it's not coming from that balanced place here, but it's coming from insecurity, right? Or a need for control if we have an overblown solar plexus. Why does anxiety feel like it's predominantly in my heart space? Oh, my friend, I love you so much. Obviously, as always, I say it always, you are your own guru, right? You are your own guru. So the question is always to ask yourself why it's coming from those places. But in terms of if it was me in my space, for me, it would indicate that the anxiety, the tension, because what is anxiety but tension, right? What does your system do when you get angry, when you get anxious, even when you get sad, right? It tenses up and goes into protective mode. So what's anxiety? It's protective mode. It's my shoulders coming up. It's my shoulders rounding, my back rounding a little bit. It's maybe even my hand coming up here because my system says there's fear, uncertainty, a need. There is a need that is not being satisfied right here. And this is why, right? When I talk about talking about to my anxiety, like my friend Michelle, because sometimes my anxiety is really just, I need someone to be, gosh. See, now I just share my own personal stuff, right? Because I'm not in your body, so I can't express why your heart feels that. But for me, when I feel that anxiety in my heart, it's because there's a longing. It's because I hold a sense of there's a well of grief that I hold, that I'm still pulling out buckets and buckets of water from, or whatever else is down there, muck. Thank you, not terrible. Let me put your name in for and my life goal was achieved. Thank you, friends. Thank you, guys. You are entered into the raffle to get a signed copy of my book. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, anxiety in the heart, right? Thank you, friend. Anxiety in the heart. Let me offer this here because it is a third eye practice, because it is a practice to help hear and speak to um, your inner selves, right? Especially as we're wanting to hear our guides or listen to our body, right? If my body is trying to speak to me, how do I hear it? Anxiety, tension is my body trying to speak to me. And if you are somebody who has a lot of thoughts in the brain or monkeys in the brain, or you still feel very confused about that energy and how it manifests, and I don't know what it's saying, I don't know why, but I'm feeling it, right? So one of my favorite practices for that is what I call the non-dominant hand practice, non-dominant handwriting. So you do this simply by grabbing two different utensils, or the same. They can even be both pencil or both pen, whatever, it doesn't matter. But make sure that you got one in each hand. With your dominant hand, start free writing, free drawing, whatever you've got to do. Just allow the dominant hand to free think, open flow, right? I'm feeling this anxiety in my heart. I feel it so tense. My shoulders are rounding. My back is feeling, I feel the tension here. I feel it like this, and it sounds bright. It sounds whatever. Just like focus. I don't know why this is happening. What's my answer here? I'm just really confused, and I feel really this and that and that. Whenever you hear that different, slightly different, or loudly different voice, pause with that free flow and use your non-dominant hand. But I can't write with my non-dominant hand. I know. This is the point of the practice, is because you also are struggling to hear. You probably say the same thing about the inner voices. I can't hear my inner voices. If you can't hear your inner voices and you can't write with your non-dominant hand, then please take this practice on and give it your attention. When that voice pops up, stop everything else you're doing and use the hand that you're still just learning how to use, just like the voice you're just learning how to listen to, and give it all of the attention that you did as a child of trying to write with the other hand, right? What it does is increases your focus. What it does is slows down your thinking and slows down your system. And when that mind wants to jump back in and start writing and asking more questions, again, redirect to that other response. Zen Jen. This is my favorite. For a long time, my question was, how the hell do I tell the difference between anxiety and fear? Like, how do I, or intuition and anxiety? How do I know if this is intuition telling me that something's going to happen? Or how do I know it's not fear calling the fucking thing into reality? This was my personal psychosis for a long time. And when I found this practice, it relieved me of that loop, because I was able to manifest it as something different. I was able to take the time, and it forced me to really use all of my attention and intention to make that happen. And what is the most powerful tool that you have in your toolbox? Your attention and your intention. When you align those and can stay present and aligned with those, you are a fucking powerful force to be reckoned with. And that's why the system keeps you manipulated, because they don't want you to be a force to be reckoned with. They don't want you to have that kind of personal power and that kind of focus and that kind of strength. No. Born to Bark. I purposely mix my hand use for brain plasticity. It is revealing. Sure, my dominant hand is better at it, right? Yes. So I highly, highly recommend that practice for anybody wanting to improve upon their ability to hear their intuition, which will help to strengthen your third eye channel. All right. So let's get back to the structure of the system. Thank you all again for allowing me to go on these little side notes and coming back to this. You are very, very welcome. Again, this is our last Saturday for the in our Inner Light series for the third eye chakra. So throw your questions out there. Feel free to ask questions about other chakras as well, because we've been talking about the third eye all month long. I think you love my side notes. Thank you, Seraphim. Sometimes I just don't come back to the main topic, though. So if I don't, redirect me and be like, hey, you were doing something. That's why I like my whiteboard, so I can remember. All right. So we've got we were just talking about these gates. The gates of, I forgot they're magnetic. Hold on. It's the little things in life, guys. All right. So, well, they're even color coded. I'm so tickled by that right now. Let's put this away because it was drying up anyway. All right. All right. So we were talking about this gateway of our earthly chakras, of our matrix chakras, the in gate here at the sacral chakra. And hey, I was really excited about this. There we go. And then the external gate of the throat chakra. The first time we, the first time we invite the world in is the first cry we make when we're an infant. And we say, something scared me. I'm uncomfortable. Holy crap, it's bright out here, right? Whatever that first cry is. And that's not to say that this will be patterned by your first experience. But the more you experience the same things, what you experience, right, is going to pattern the way that that chakra moves, is going to pattern the way that that energy moves through that chakra center. So then here, I think we're finally at the place now where we can talk about the petals of the chakras, right? And when I say petals, they don't actually have a petal. What these are connections to the minor energy channels that move from or are connected to each chakra. The third eye only has two because you have your Ida and your Pingala that essentially come off either side. Sorry guys, it's going to be a little bit and then that way, yeah. Okay, let's do this together. How do your chakras turn? Why is it called a chakra? Chakra is the Sanskrit word for wheel because it moves, it turns, it's a vortex, an energy vortex, like a wheel. That looks amazing. Thanks, Born to Bark. You're such a good friend. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's do this practice together so you can be informed about how your energy system, this is akin to taking apart the remote control and learning how to put it back together. Why do we do this? So that you can learn how to access the wiring of your system and rewire that wiring, right? So you're no longer operating from that fully unconscious space. Okay, how do we do this? Hi, Andrew. Welcome in. Take your right hand and extend your index finger, please. Take your left hand and extend that index finger as well, please. Bring the tips of your index fingers up to the sides of your third eye chakra. It doesn't have to be exact, just wherever you feel that third eye space is, okay? Remember, we talked about the right side being my yang energy, and the left is my yin energy. Yang energy is a rising pranic energy. So the right side, your right finger will move up. Yes. Yin is a aponic energy, a resting, a downward receptive energy. So the left will go down. You can close your eyes if you need to, but imagine that your fingers are holding a little wheel, a little disc in between them. As you turn, right finger up, left finger down, which direction does that wheel spin? It spins towards your left. I really need to find myself a nice coin that I can do this with. Somebody find me a beautiful coin that I can do this with. I might have something, but you get the point, I think. Here, I do. What is this? Oh, money from a different country. I don't know. And it's not going to work because I'm going to turn it. You're going to be able to see it so well. All right. So it turns to your left. Wait, is that counterclockwise? So again, I encourage you. It can get really confusing when we start to pull ourselves and try to see from outside of ourselves. So I encourage you to focus on which side that turns toward. So if that's my right finger up, left finger down, that's going to turn the coin in my hand. It's going to turn the disc in my hand to my left, which is my aponic yin energy, right? To my left. So that means that my brow chakra is what? Does that track? A receptive yin energy, receiving that higher wisdom. Yes? The front side. The second, now remember, these are pulleys like we've drawn here. These are pulleys in between. So if that is going that way, what is it going to do to this one? It's going to turn to my right. Then my heart is going to turn to my left. My solar plexus is going to turn to my right. My sacral to my left. Yeah. Notice I'm not including the crown and the root chakra because these are my poles. Spirit of dreams makes me a little bit dizzy. That might be a good thing. Ride that dizziness, my friend, or at least rest in the dizziness. So user 0063, does it ever go backwards? The front sides of your chakras are just as we described by these pulleys. But remember, yes, Born to Bark, remember we have hemispheres. You can think of the front of your body as one hemisphere, and then the back of your body as the other hemisphere. We also have right and left sides, but we just talked about our right and left sides being the pranic energy on my right and the aponic energy on my left. And that will help you understand, right, which direction. So if the yin, so my throat is yang, it's an expressive energy. It comes out from here. The back of your chakras spins in the opposite direction. So the back of my throat chakra spins towards the yin, towards the left side of my body. That means the back of my heart chakra spins towards the yang, or the right side of my body. So we think about this in terms of anything with the heart chakra. If I experience the thing here on the front of me, it's going to give me an indication of which aspect of that chakra is out of balance versus if I feel it here in the back. Now, mind you, when we talk about shadow work, what we are talking about is addressing the shadow self, the opposite pole of those chakras. We live in a very egocentric, front-centric, mirror-centric world. So much of our attention gets put here, and so little of our attention gets put there. But remember, when you are standing in the light, you will always cast a shadow. You cannot avoid your shadow. It is part of you. It, in fact, indicates that you are present here in this life. So we want to make sure that we also address the back chakras. So it's business in the front, party in the back. Yeah, usually. Adriana, this makes so much sense, and I haven't thought about it before. I actually, I'm in cahoots here with Monica and anybody else who wants to help do it. I'm trying to develop or build an actual model for this so we can like flip a switch and turn it on and see these little vortexes spinning with little lights coming off of them and whatnot. Yes, Born to Bark. Our planet rotates counterclockwise, north referenced, and orbits sun counterclockwise. This is a macro micro thing, right? We are a micro version of what happens in the entire universe. Adriana, yes, it is actually live on YouTube right now. I am live on YouTube and on TikTok every Saturday from 10 a.m. Pacific time, unless I decide not to get out of bed or take a Saturday off. These classes are free and will remain free classes. There will always be a free class or a free session space like this where we can discuss these things. I can answer questions. Again, if you're interested in diving deeper, you can join our Discord community, or you can also snag memberships for coaching, as well as for my replay library, because I've been doing this for more than just this year. So I have a lot of classes and other things that are archived away in the replay library. All those things are available through membership over on Patreon. I move with change on Patreon and on YouTube and on TikTok. And it is literally my memberships that keep the lights on and keep the internet going. So if you guys want to keep seeing the classes, go grab a membership. There's memberships as low as $5 a month, just as a seed sower to support the work that I'm doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much to all of you who do that. And then there's ones as high as my coaching intensive, which is a couple $1,000s because it's 40 full days where we work directly together every single day in some capacity. Make sure if you want that membership, that or that session, that thing together, that you reach out to me first and schedule that together, because that requires both of us to be present for it. Discord, I'm so down for that. Darcy, my husband has an aversion to the color red, like he relates it to bad things happening, I guess. Could he subconsciously have a problem with it because his root is blocked? Yes. So an indication that I really don't like a color, or I'm offended by a color, especially if it develops, if it has like an emotional, elicits an emotional response, then I definitely am, we were talking about earlier, is this coming from my heart, right? It's coming from the root. And again, what's the question of the root chakra is, am I safe? That's it. That's my first experience of, am I safe to be in my body? Remember that as infants, we don't have a capacity to understand the temporal aspect of our reality. We don't understand time. We don't have object permanence. So when somebody leaves the room and we're left by ourselves in the room, we have no idea, we have no concept, we have no time or understanding of their presence outside of the room. And therefore we are in this kind of perpetual eternity of being alone. That is a really scary and unsafe thing for an infant who has no defenses and nobody to protect them. So our earliest experiences could be as serious as trauma, as abuse, as other terrible things happening to us, right? Or living in a very dangerous space or place kind of thing that can absolutely cause long-term misalignment with our root chakra. That creates a really shaky foundation for us to build on top of, right? But remember too, that early experience could just be something benign. It could have been something terrifying. You said your husband, right? Something terrifying your husband, and there not being a caregiver to soothe him. It could be as simple as that. I highly encourage people, especially if you have somebody in your life who's experiencing something like this and they are not inclined to do that personal digging or to try to go down in the well and find the story where Timmy got caught or what have you. Let them be. Please don't push anybody down their own rabbit holes, because what often ends up happening is they come running out screaming, right? And then they refuse to go back down the rabbit hole and they cover up the rabbit hole and they're like, nope, nope, no, we're not doing that again, because they're not ready. I had to learn this lesson personally, obviously, from by accosting people with their healing, in a very egocentric kind of way, in a very self-driven kind of way that was not careful, full of care. And I know that there are a lot of people I drove out of my life because I was like, you must grow. You must pay attention to this. Don't you see this? I must hold this mirror up to you. In our love for others, right? Everyone in their own time, exactly, for them. In our love for others, sometimes we can push them to a place where they feel unloved. So yes, the dislike of red, the disdain for red, absolutely indicates an imbalance in the root chakra. And our root chakra is about safety. So I invite you to look for ways to help your husband feel safe. And maybe even not overt things. We build trust by breadcrumbing. We don't build trust in these huge, massive things we do for each other. When the people who just show up when there's an emergency, we don't trust those people in the same way that we trust the people who show up in these itty bitty tiny ways. So if you're looking for a suggestion for how to help, how to be with, thank you, friend, how to be with somebody who's struggling with something like this, if you so clearly see somebody's imbalance, which we often do because it's so easier to see from outside, right? Then I encourage you to just focus on the need of that chakra, right? Especially in terms of color. because that's a really easy, obvious sort of thing. But if there's something else that you notice that you're like, whoa, their heart is out of balance or their solar plexus is out of balance, I can see that they don't have very good self-esteem, then offer them satisfaction, real satisfaction for that need. Because most of us have had the Velveeta cheese craft singles version of these needs being met, right? And that's not actually going to build the proper foundation for our system. He also has victim mentality. Well, his system is telling him he was literally victimized. His system is telling him he is a victim and he is potentially going to be a victim in any situation. Because when we live in this state of fear, our systems are looking for people to try to victimize us, or they're looking for situations where we're unsafe, because the system says the world is so fucking unsafe, I have to be on high alert all the time. Hey, Porch Lore, I really like your name. Plastic cheese and plastic wrapping. Yep. I often take a lot. Hold on. I appreciate you too, Mandala Fly. Glittery, we also trust the people who show up to cheer on our wins too. Absolutely. Right? Thank you guys for the follows. Cat Lover, what about a disdain for black? Black can also be about the root chakra, because so it can be about the root chakra, it can also be about the sacral chakra, and it can also be about the shadow self. The shadow self is obviously the darker aspect of self. Now remember, safety is the root chakra, but also our womb is the second chakra. Yes, masculine, feminine, everybody has this womb space, is in our sacral chakra. And that is the place. Imagine the womb as an infant. When you're a growing baby, this is the space where you are held perfectly in this little homeostasis, and everything you need is just delivered to you through your bloodstream. You don't have to freaking deal with breathing weird air, oxygen stuff. It's all taken care of for you. It's this perfect place to be. Thank you, friend. The womb, right? And so if we do not feel held or comforted or nourished or cared for in that level as the womb would, then we can feel this. They can cause an imbalance in the sacral chakra, right? So we can feel afraid of that dark space. If I am always alone in my sadness, I may not want to experience sadness. I may not be ready to go down into the well where I keep all the rest of that sadness, because I've been putting them down. No, I can't look at that. I can't be there. I can't be there. I can't hold that. I can't see that. I can't talk about that. I can't listen to that. I can't think about that. I can't feel that. This is not the thing to say. I can't do that. I can't. All of this stuff we store. So especially with black. Thank you for asking this, friend, because this one's a really important one for I think all of us, because a lot of us carry shame, and shame comes from the sacral chakra, and our culture is specifically disconnects us from our womb, from our sacral chakra, from our ability to receive, and from our umbilical cord to source, right? So when we think about the womb within ourselves, however we manifest it in your physical body today, you can imagine a well. The bottom of a well, there is water in there. Now, how you envision your water, right this second, if you're a visual person or if you're connected like that, maybe you can do it pretty quickly. Maybe not, that's okay if you can't, but you can just close your eyes for a second and imagine the well, imagine the lake, imagine the pool, imagine the bowl of water that is down in your sacral chakra. We call your hips the pelvic, right? The bowl, because that area is holding all of this water. Energetic water down there. It rules the water in your system, in your whole body. So close your eyes and imagine that well for a moment. What color is it? What temperature is it? Is it scary to notice that, or does it feel inviting? I invite you to take a few moments just to close your eyes and hold space in your sacral chakra. You can even put your hands over your low belly, underneath your belly button. That can be really soothing. It's a mudra in and of itself. It's also energy work, right? On our sacral chakra. Whoo. almost almost everybody I meet has an imbalance in the sacral chakra. So just sit there for a moment and just feel into your sacral. Notice what you experience there. Notice if you hear anything or if you see anything or if something comes up, especially in the little jolts of energy or waves of energy. We do not need to name them. We do not need to fall down new rabbit holes or tell stories about them. We are just bearing witness right now. There's no shame. There's no guilt. There's no judgment. There's no there's no naming, no nothing. Just watching. Darcy, I notice I hold tension there a lot. So Darcy and anybody else who is noticing tension right now, eyes closed, inhale the breath through your nose and imagine the breath falling like a waterfall from your nose all the way down your system and filling up that little pool in your sacral chakra. Fresh, clean, clear, inviting water is this oxygen that comes through all the way in, filling that pool. Yes, I know maybe it's muddy, maybe it's dark, but let that fresh breath come in. And as you exhale, let it out through the mouth with a big sigh or a or whatever, or a moan, whatever it is that you need. Let that voice, let the manifestation, let that energy carry up and out of that pool and out your mouth. Nice, simple, visual energy healing practice. Hands on user 0063. Right away, my third eye started aching again. My friend, it sounds like maybe you're overusing your third eye. Like you may be just not aggravating, but stressing it. It's like when you do something with your hands a million times and the muscle just gets tired, you may just be, and you said it's right away because we're doing for the visual stuff, right? You're going in through the third eye to see that channel. So here's a question for you, user 0063. Let me see if I can put this in a different way for you. With your eyes closed, wherever that tension is, wherever you feel that tension in your third eye, focus all of your attention on the tension itself. Look at it like you're putting a spotlight on it. All of your attention on that tension. All of your attention on that tension. And when you feel all of your attention gathered, all the parts of your attention gathered onto that tension in your third eye, again, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine that that tension lives on an elevator and allow it to slowly start coming down the bridge of your nose. If it pops back up in your third eye, finish the exhale and inhale again, focusing wherever you experience that tension. As you exhale, drag it down the bridge of your nose really slowly. Take your time, take your time, take your time, and see if you can hold it at the tip of your nose. As you inhale again, stay focused on that point of tension. Every time you exhale, keep dragging it deeper down, 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 down. If you can, pull it all the way down to the sacral. Hold your attention, the tension, down in your sacral. That might take a little bit of practice. Moving our attention on purpose is different than viewing into something. Darcy, doing the sacral exercise just now brought up some emotions and tears. Our emotion center, our emotions rise from the waters of our sacral chakra. This is, again, the umbilical cord to the universe. This is our first expression of, and what we say about our sacral chakra is, I feel. The root chakra says, I am. The sacral chakra says, I feel. And most all of us have feelings, right? And we all have feelings. Some of us shove them down there. Some of us let them out. So we were talking about aversion to the color black. One of the things about the sacral chakra is being able to go into that dark space. Being able to go into the darkness of your womb and to be held and to be nourished. Spirit of dreams, you too, instantaneous wailing, sobbing. Okay, remember, to meet yourself with at least curiosity and willingness. If you can't hold yourself, or you're not having space, or maybe it makes you feel uncomfortable to bring all those energies up, or all those emotions up, then just meet them with curiosity and willingness. If you are already willing and curious and maybe even feeling loving toward the grief that is coming up, I invite you to wrap those arms around your arms, around yourself, offer some rocking like you would have received as a baby. Offer some soothing. I even like gentle pets, face pets, back of my hand, gentle face pets, maybe even some humming. This is the way we reparent ourselves. Ooh, blindly evolving. That's a really another good one too. I love hammocks or surrounding myself in pillows. That's both really nourishing for the root and for the sacral chakra. Wrapping yourself up in a blanket, really nourishing for the sacral chakra. Shannon, that's super cleansing. You're amazing at verbally leading the visual paths. Thank you, friend. I'm a storyteller. I've always been a storyteller. And I'm just learning how to allow myself to tell stories. Actually, I started a Spotify channel, and now I have to find a new podcast thing. But I have several meditations, guided meditations on Spotify that move with change. But the production is not great. So I don't talk about them a lot because there's kind of some sounds in the background and whatnot, but I'd really like to put out more. And if it's something that people really feel that they like or enjoy, I might go ahead and start doing that again. Okay, cat lover, what if we feel darkness black in the sacral chakra? That is pretty normal. That's because again, we're accessing our womb, right? And the womb is a dark place. It's where you came from. This idea that we came from darkness, right? We often talk about we came from the light, right? You're a spark of light that you have, yes, but there's part of us too that comes from the womb. We develop in the womb. I personally did not do any ultrasounds when I was pregnant with my son because I suddenly got this really, really clear message that was like, 9 months is all he gets without a camera in his face, without somebody poking and prodding him, without eyes on him. I said, there's got to be, like, it was suddenly just this profound, like, there's something really important about that encapsulation process. And so that was my personal choice, right? But it helped lend itself to understanding what we experience in the sacral chakra and what we hold in the sacral chakra. Another thing that we talk about in the Vedic world is these things called runanabandha. Hey, Mr. Marshmallow. Runanabandha is the Sanskrit term for this kind of karmic debris that we will often accumulate throughout our lives. And you can get this debris from anything. You know the idea that energy transfers, right? Let's even maybe even the idea that like objects hold energy, not just people. So you're interacting with people and you're moving through people's energy fields, right? And all of us are pretty much just these charged vessels for energy, channels for energy. And some of us are like spewing energy in all fucking directions. And some of us are just absorbing energy from all fucking directions, right? So not only when interacting with people, but also when interacting with objects and things, we can accidentally kind of get this shedding, this energetic shedding from others and from objects and things. And this from our actions and our choices, right, will also develop these runanabandha, these karmic stones, and they end up being stored down there in our well. User 660063. Thank you. Very validating because I've been doing a similar thing, melting my third eye downward. Awesome. That foundational intrusion. Yeah. It takes a long time, but it works. So the other thing that we can do too, 0063, we're talking about the front and the back of the chakras. The one chakra I haven't mentioned yet, where the back is, right, is the brow. The front of the brow chakra is up here between your brow, here up on your forehead, but the back of it is not directly behind it. It's actually at a 45-degree angle down here at the pineal gland. So when our Kundalini rises, this is where that snake, that coil of energy comes up to meet at our third eye. It is why it's a part of our enlightenment journey, because it connects our root to our third eye. And then the next piece is that the energy starts to move back down. So we spend so much time in our development trying to move that energy upwards because we're developing, we're pranic, we're evolving, we're moving forward, we're doing, and we're, all sorts of stuff, up, right? Go, 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 go. But in reality, there's also a rest. We're not just human doings, we're human beings. And when we forget to rest, just like with the continuous practice of Qigong, right? Or anything that we do the same or a lot of all the time, we got to remember to rest. So the resting piece of that third eye is here at the back. The other way you could do that practice is to open up the channel and imagine it like a marble, or like something. That's what I immediately saw was a marble. When you open up that channel, allow that marble to just roll back and out the back of the head. You can also use the back of the third eye to clear away the blockages here in the front, because ultimately that's what it's intended to do, is to drip down. We call this the Christ oil, because when the Kundalini comes up to meet it, what it does is then excrete another fluid that comes down, back down to the system. I keep saying 006 and I can't not think 007. It's one's louder. See? Okay, perfect. Perfect example of conditioning. Perfect example of conditioning. Oh, I'm not conditioned. Oh, this not. All of us, even in the most benign ways. 007. Immediately you click to what 007 is. When I say 006, what does your brain do? Nah, hey! Because your brain wants to be right. Your brain wants to be correct. That is how your brain keeps you safe. So that exact response trigger happens with all sorts of other shit in your life. I see something that looks like a fat pile of money sitting on the ground in front of me. But I don't believe in abundance or luck or anything like that, right? I tell myself I'm not lucky. That's in the life that doesn't just hand you shit. So I look at that and my brain immediately goes to some other thing. It won't say, well, that's obviously a pile of money. It's a pile of shit it's fake, whatever the heck it is. Whatever the thing that my brain believes to be true, what my narrative, what my programming, what my subconscious believes to be true, what my body experiences as true, because it's more than just the brain believing, it's my body understanding and experiencing it, is what I will then see and experience out in the world. This is how manifestation works. That's fair, but humor is valid. Humor is important. Humor is very important. Hold on just a second, Shannon. Great question. Yes, my son. Hello.
I kind of want something that's sweet, but
you want to have ice cream for breakfast?
Yeah, basically.
I knew you wanted to have mochi for breakfast. My son's working on his solar plexus, his ability to come and directly ask me for the things that he wants without humming and hawing or without trying to take me on a roundabout sort of. I am very Virgo sometimes and very just get to the, what's the thing? What do you want? Quit trying to butter me up. Quit trying to lead me astray. Tell me what you want. But that's about confidence, right? And that's also about our feeling that the universe is going to respond positively when we ask for help. Or we ask for what we want. Or we ask for what we need. You want some ice cream for breakfast?
Yeah, or something sweet like
I don't have donuts. Do we have donuts? I don't think we do.
Something sweet.
And by the time I'm done, the bakery will be closed. You can have some ice cream for breakfast, yeah. Do you want to maybe go get a donut tomorrow morning? It'll be Sunday, so they'll be so busy. Yeah, well, I don't want to go get a donut today. I don't want to go into town. I don't want to people. Don't make me people. Not on a Saturday. I'm already peopling.
Well,
I'm not peopling over here. I'm humaning over here.
Is there anything else that is sweet, like
a steamer. I don't have any vanilla, but I have maple.
True.
You make a maple steamer.
No thanks.
Okay. Get creative. I'm not offering candy. You know I don't offer.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you want some ice cream, that's fine. If you want to make yourself a steamer, that's fine. If you want to,
make myself cookies.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Are you going to make some cookies? Maybe.
I'm going to have some ice cream, then I will.
Okay. The ice cream's in here, isn't it?
No, the mochi's in here.
Oh, the mochi. Okay.
It's only the mochi.
Steam the ice cream.
Nah.
You fry the ice cream. We fry the ice cream, blindly evolving. Let me see what I missed here. Okay, so Shannon, that's it. So are we supposed to question? I think before the questioning comes awareness. Because unless I know that that's what my brain is doing, then I'm not going to give it any of my attention. I'm not going to do anything about it, right? There's no reason to but when I go, oh, whoa, my brain is always trying to prove itself right to whatever narrative is already in there, then how am I going to catch myself? Hey, Karen, hello. Thank you for joining us over there on YouTube. Yay. Mindfulness, right? My ability to be present and to recognize, ooh, my brain just made an assumption about what that was. Do I need to question? I think that's depending on the exact circumstances. But I would encourage you to focus instead on just being present in the moment so that you are consciously in the moment, therefore the one making the decisions. If I am not consciously in the moment, it's more likely that my system's going to kick in and take over the wheel and drive somewhere. So for example, I am driving on the road and somebody cuts me off. And as I'm driving, I'm also thinking about other things, talking to my kid, whatever's going on, as we often are multitasking. That multitasking separates my intention from my attention and my thought process and my body experience and all these things in all these different directions. When that person cuts me off, what happens? I'm not fully present in the moment, and I may have a slower response time. I likely have a slower response time, and I'm more likely to get triggered by the repeat pattern of, oh shit, something's dangerous. I got to keep myself safe. At any point during that process, if I realize, one, my attention is scattered in all these different places, pull that attention back in. Yes, I could still keep talking to my kid, but maybe I'll focus more on driving and focus more on hearing just those two things. The other piece, maybe I've already been triggered and the experience already happens. I already said that's not a pile of money. That's a piece of shit driving a station wagon, and they should be blah, 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 blah. As soon as you catch that, wherever you are in the process of being triggered, pause and just remind yourself that you can make a different decision. That's where we start. Breadcrumbing, right? And even so, Shannon, maybe work on stopping and deciding if that's the way you want to feel. Like pause to collect. So one of my favorite things to do is if I notice I'm triggered or I notice that I'm scattered is to use awe, right? Pretend like, I know you guys have heard me say this before, and this seems like a little bit extreme, so we can use different versions of it. But essentially, if I notice that I've been triggered or my attention's scattered, I play the freeze game. I make myself mind, body, focus, essentially freeze. This is harder to do in the car, but I give all of my attention to my immediate area. Like Shannon, like I see you, pause to collect. Yeah, where we pause and pay attention, give all of our attention, allow all of our attention to rest solely right here. And any thought that pops up, go, wait a minute, hold on, I'm focusing, more focusing. I like to use the sound of my heartbeat. I like to use the sound of my breath. I also, if it's really big, like for example, if I suddenly had an anxiety experience, I got triggered, anxiety is screaming through my body. It's not so easy to be calm, right? My body is shaking, my heart is racing, my breath is matching, my mind is trying to catch up, going, what the fuck is going on? I got to figure out what's wrong to keep us safe. In those moments, I tap my fingers to my thumb, back and forth, back and forth. If I have the hands to do these things, right? I take big, deep, slow, intentional breaths. And I don't just breathe in, but I notice the way that my heart rises and falls in my breath. I notice the way that the sides of my rib cage expand and contract around my breath. I notice wherever in my body I'm experiencing tension, because as soon as I start to bring my attention here, I go, oh my gosh, my shoulders are way the fuck up here. My head is pulled back, you know what I mean? Or my head is jutted forward. That's more often me. I'm like this. Like, why the fuck are you holding yourself like this? To find center. Center is always available. It's where you are. Your center is inside of you. And so if you are trying to find center out there, you're running away from center. Alexis, our posture is a direct indication of our imbalance or our balance or not in our energy system. My emotions, right, move through and from my energy system. My body, it responds and interacts with my emotions, and the opposite is true. I can use my breath and my body to shift my energy and my emotions. You get angry and your breath starts to change, your heart starts to change, your brow gets all furrowed up, your shoulders get all this, your belly gets all tight, whatever the hell your personal responses are, right? That's a physical manifestation of an energy pattern. And this is why also it's important to look at your body for the red flags of like, oh, I have regular chronic issues in my shoulders and my back and my digestive system with my ability to think clearly, focus, those sorts of things. Those are the chakras that need your attention. Chronic. The body whispers and then we don't listen. And we tell it to be quiet, and we tell it to get over it, and we tell it no pain, no gain. And then it yells, and we tell it to shut up, and we tell it to cut it out, and we blame ourselves, and we feel victimized by our own emotions until it screams and becomes chronic manifestation. And we go, why is my body against me? Imagine if you were tasked with being somebody's ally, being somebody's support team, right? Sometimes I think about this in terms of the idea of angels, right? Or maybe even seen memes about it. Like, man, my poor angels assigned to me in this lifetime when I'm walking around like, la, 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 I don't give a shit what you have to say. I'm going to do it my own fucking human way. Your body is the most physical thing about you, obviously, right? It's also the most dense thing about you. As dense as we might feel up here sometimes or here sometimes, your physical body is the densest thing about you. Everything of the universe, right, has like in the universe, the material matter is the most dense stuff in the universe. And it's only a small fraction of what the universe is actually created of, right? Made of. Everything else in the universe serves such a higher percentage than the physical stuff in the universe. I believe we have the physical experience because there's something about the energy translating, communicating through the physical self. Think about it like this way. When we develop gross motor skills, we learn how to move an entire arm. Gross motor skills says I can kick my feet, right? I can kick both my feet. I can learn to walk. I can jump. These are gross motor skills. Fine motor skills is when I learn to hold my fingers in different positions and maybe even grip the fine tip of a quill. Apparently, I don't use pens, I use quills. I don't know, I don't. Right? These are our fine motor skills. So when we think about it in terms of gross motor thinking, if I am still stuck in gross motor thinking, black or white, good or bad, right or wrong, it's either real or it's not. I feel it and see it, then I can experience it and it's real. And if not, then it's not real. Then my experience will be stuck or limited to the most dense material and the most dense understanding of things. And I don't use that again. I'm not using it as an insult. I'm just using it as a comparison of the density, because it's also simplicity. As we grow and refine our thought process, our awareness, our thinking, enlighten ourselves, we bring more light into our understanding of reality. So instead of just day or night, there's morning, there's noon, right? There's dawn, there's evening, then there's afternoon. We understand the finer details of that. Enlightenment isn't something that's super far away and super complicated. It is the process of becoming aware of the more and more subtle layers of reality, both inside of yourself as well as outside of yourself. Unapologetically, I just got your book in the mail and bought your PDF for the chakras. Yay, I'm excited to read. Awesome. Thank you, friend. Remember, there's a PDF for each different. We have the aura, the koshas, the root, and each different chakra as well over in my shop on Patreon. I'm super excited. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. And remember, everybody, we are doing, I know I don't talk about it at all. We are doing a raffle today for my book, for a signed copy of my book. Here is what's important about getting the physical copy. First of all, there's no audio copy yet. But the physical copy offers you this fancy schmancy QR code right here. Right now, that brings you to my Patreon page, so you can grab cheat codes and tools and coaching and things like that if you'd like to. Next year, it will instead or also get you to a monthly Zoom call where we're going to do Q&A and we're going to do practice sessions. I offer a minimal amount of practices here in this book because it was meant to be an introductory, like, this is what's going on. Now let's work together to use the practices or to get the practices that can help you come back into balance, right? So what I'm going to do next year is to make sure that we have this monthly Zoom meeting that will be free to anybody who has purchased the book. So, you got to get your physical copy to get that QR code. Yes, it is a marketing tactic. Yes, I am triggering the fear of missing out, fear of, FOMO. There's a term for that. I'm too old for those sorts of things, which is my fear of missing out. Where could that be? What chakra could that be? Oh, I really wanted to join the thing, but I don't have the physical copy, or I can't buy it yet, or I don't know if I'll be able to show up on the right time. What chakra do you think that might be? Born to Bark, physical self is basic self-preservation. It's the first place we start. It's the most simplistic or dense way of being. Yes. And as we grow, we enlighten here more and more and more and more and more, right? But also here. Aw, Bella B, I'm so happy your live came up on my FYP. You're so awesome. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you, friends. Again, this has been an experiment for the last several years of me teaching online because my chakras have been out of balance. And the awareness of that compelled me to do this experimental thing of teaching online for free. Do I do coaching? Do I also charge for it? Did I try charging for classes here and there? Yes. But ultimately, the authentic expression of this energy for me is that there is always a space that I like to give the information out for free, and I like to answer as many questions as I can. Again, if it gets too personal or you really need a deeper dive, I highly suggest going to my Patreon page. The thing is backwards. I move a change on Patreon. And if you want more classes, go ahead and go find, there's replays on YouTube. There's also a replay membership that gives you all of my classes from all of the time that I've been teaching online. And that's also in my shop as well there, or the membership stuff there. Yes. Are you looking for ingredients?
I'm looking for my cookie cookbook.
Crud. Are you okay?
Yeah. Sorry, sometimes my voice just gets low down like that, so.
I don't see it in here. Look in the kitchen stuff.
I already looked.
In here a little bit, because it might be, or in your books. Okay.
I looked in the book. It wasn't there.
Born to Bark, hold up, special QR code. Yes, grabbing the physical book now. So luckily it's a dynamic QR code. Book in hand, which page? So again, it doesn't go to the Zoom thing yet. It is on page 98. It says scan me. It will get you to my Patreon page. Ooh, I'm just realizing now that I can like actually add discounts to it and funds, things like that, you guys. Unapologetically, am I considered a shaman? So I am, for those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being. And I am your shenanigan shaman, as been so dubbed here by the TikTok community. The title shenanigan shaman is obviously just a kind of a playful thing. I am very hesitant to take on monikers and things from, or titles from, like shaman or other terms that are used in a bunch of different ways and are also kind of culturally associated. I've called myself a witch in the past. I have a lineage of energy workers and whatnot, but even that comes with, our words have power. There's a lot of weight to the things that we say and to the things that we call ourselves. I have been a reverend now for 11 years, and I only last year finally I think it was last year or the year before, finally stood fully in that. And part of it was because I was not completely in my practice before. But I playfully call myself your shenanigan shaman, because I bring the shenanigans, because we're not too serious in here. We're never too serious in here, because laughter and play is really good medicine, right? Alexis, coughing clears the throat chakra, I've noticed. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. What were we talking about? It's been an experiment in my own authenticity and showing up for how I really want to show up for the world, in the world, and also learning to be able to receive as well. I was not doing coaching before in the same way. I was offering a lot more free services in that way, but I'm learning to value myself, which is weird. And apparently also sometimes egotistical, right? Your ego is not your enemy. It's been protecting you your entire life. It's your ally. And your job is to build a relationship with that ego self. Born to Bark, the shenanigan first name is Love. It says a lot to the hijacked self-insight industry. Yeah. Well, that's it. It's all being hijacked and co-opted by systems that want to use truth to manipulate you. What's the best way to manipulate you is use the truth, turn it on its head, and tell you you're supposed to swallow it whole instead of chew it at all. right? Or tell you it's not for you. Oh, you can't learn about the chakras. You don't have the right skin color. You weren't born in the right country. You can't practice speaking Sanskrit. That's not your native language. You shouldn't wear your hair like that or dress like that or adopt these practices or read the insights because you're not from that place or you don't look like those people or you don't follow all the rules or whatnot. And I'm too much of a pirate for that. I don't believe that we are meant to be gatekeeping all of these sacred things. Now, at the same time, there are tools and practices that are here, and there are tools and practices that are here. And I should say it like this, it can be on the same level, right? There are things that we want to work up to, build up to. I am not going to give you the most complicated practices when you very begin, not because it's not accessible, not because they're not for you, but because it would be inappropriate and be a poor teacher to like lay on you the level 25 practices when you're like, wow, I'm just getting started. Thank you so much. Okay, here's something really super complicated. Here, let me knock you off your path by giving you something that's not appropriate, right? Age inappropriate or whatever, path point inappropriate. Or you don't have enough money to access the information. That's a huge gate for capitalism, right? Yes, baby.
I couldn't find it.
Okay. I'll help you find it.
Okay. Well, so we even got the brown sugar.
I know we even got the brown sugar. What I'm saying is I'm pretty sure I took it out of the kitchen in there and I probably brought it into here and I probably put it in a safe space in here, maybe in one of those buckets right there. But you know, as soon as we put something in a safe spot, it means we lost it. It's like purposely losing something. I'm sorry I purposely lost your cookie cookbook, but I didn't mean to. Okay, thanks. Right? You don't learn algebra in first grade. And it would be silly to expect somebody to be able to do algebra in the first grade. But these practices, the things that are most beneficial to you, the things that are most supportive to your energy body, to teaching you about the true essence and power available within your system, those are the best things to take, to twist, to manipulate, to turn them. I always think of the story of how the runes were discovered. I believe it was the story that Odin hung himself by his foot from a tree and hung upside down over the water until he saw the runes. And this for me is really poignant because I feel like our world, the illusion of our world is that it's on its head, is that the truths and the realities of outside of the matrix space have been flipped and inverted and turned inside out. And you're walking around a room of smoke and mirrors and everybody's trying to sell you something and tell you about who you should be and what you look like from their spot in the mirror. Like, chaos. How do we get out of that chaos? How do we find order within that chaos? No matter what is going on outside of you, your greatest strength comes from within you, is what you do within you. Born to bark as a Virgo, be honest. You can do algebra in the first grade. Okay. As a Virgo, I graduated high school without any algebra or algebra 2 or chemistry or physics or what are some of the other ones? I moved around so much in high school. I moved 5-6 times between 4 different high schools, I think. I was the girl who made friends with all her teachers. I wasn't like the goody two shoes. I didn't like, but I'd like crack a joke at the teacher, and there was some sort of So I'd like slide through my classes. As a Virgo, I didn't study a lot, and I did pretty good. I didn't get A's and B's all the time, but I coasted through high school and just skipped a whole bunch of my classes. And then my senior year of school, my principal, it was at a new school and it was a very small school. We had 20 people in our graduating class, but only 17 graduated. And we had a new principal, and that principal took every senior into the office, and he said, I'm the new principal and I want to support you and go into college or whatever the heck you want to do. So what do you want to do? And I go into the office and he's got my transcripts. He goes, you realize you need like 2 more years just to cover all the math and all the PE you skipped and all of the, how did you do this? Like, he was confused and bewildered as to how I showed up as a senior without all these other things in class. And I explained, I was like, well, I just traveled around and I was made jokes with my teachers. And before you knew it, I was friends with the office ladies and I got to pick my electives and nobody double checked my transcripts. So, he traded me. There's a secret about me. Now it's out into the internet and now it's out into the world. He traded me my classes for my senior year and literally wrote them in to my transcript in exchange for me teaching a class, because I wanted at that time to go to college to teach sign language to high school students. That's not the path that I really wanted to go, but no oversight. There was not an oversight committee over the life the things that I was doing. There was too much of an oversight committee at home. So at school, there was, somehow I got out of everything as a Virgo. Actually, that's probably as a Gemini. I should probably say as a Gemini rising, I got out of a lot of shit. As a Virgo, I probably would not have gotten out of a lot of shit. But the exchange was that I taught my own class in my senior year of high school. The second half of my senior year, I wrote my syllabus. I picked the books out that I wanted. I taught sign language to a class of about 7 or 8 students. And they did their final as presenting a song. They could do it in pairs or in groups. And most people did it in like 2, 3, whatever. They signed the song together. We had a little like thing with a little stage in the middle of the school. And they gave me the principal's award and wrote the rest of the things in. Now, I had to make up for some of that in college, but luckily math is not my focus, right? It's this. It's humans. It's puzzles. I realized that really my focus, really the thing, was that humans are the most complex, ever-changing, intricate, and interesting puzzles that I have ever seen. And from the moment I can fucking remember, the earliest moments I can remember, I was pondering after them, self and other. Why? Why do we do that? Why did they do that? What made them do that? What made me do that? Where did that come from? Why did that happen? What is going on with them? So it's what I went to college for. And it's what has now become my life's work that I'm finally putting into text. A little bit about me. Blindly Evolving. I was the Sagittarius that got away with taking Shakespeare as a foreign language. Nice. Solid. That is a solid win, my friend. I knew there were many reasons why I loved you. Why I love you. Born to Bark. Math is a language and puzzles, and you clearly are good at those. Music is also math and inspiration. Here's the other thing, too. We talk about the damage in the chakras, right? So what my mother tells me is that when I was much younger, I was very good at math. I like puzzles. And math, like you said, is a puzzle. They were puzzles, and I loved those things. Then I had an experience in 4th grade. It was I was in a new school, and I had a teacher who, well, it wasn't the teachers. It was the teacher, but it wasn't the teacher. There were kids next to me, girls next to me, one sitting beside me, one sitting behind me, who were constantly talking and tossing notes and causing disruptions to the class. Somehow the teacher decided within the first few days that it was me who was doing it. Now, mind you, I was new to the school, and I had not taken, my previous school had not prepared me for this math class because they had put me in a more advanced math class because I tested into it. I tested well enough to go into those math classes. Went into that math class within the first 3-4 days. I took my textbook, dropped it on the fucking floor beside the desk, put my pencil down, and I spent the rest of the year flunking that class. Because when I asked the teacher for help, I said, I'm behind. Oh, wait a minute. I don't understand what just happened. Wait, can you please explain? She said, well, if you weren't talking, then you'd understand. And from that moment, she treated me like I was the person who's causing the disruption. I was the reason why I wasn't paying attention. And it didn't matter that I had any not had the previous experience with the education and whatnot. It didn't matter that I was not the fucking one talking. I was not even friends with these girls. She had made a decision about me. And what's fourth grade? What are we? 11? Maybe 10? What are you in? Fourth grade? 9? Yeah. 9, 10? Right here.
Yes.
I was looking for connection. I didn't have it at home. And I was desperate to connect to and feel welcome and seen and find friends in this new space. It's also where I shut one of the other points where I put another gate over my throat and was like, fine, I won't fucking say anything then. I remember losing my voice that year. I remember shutting off my heart and saying, and you know how long that pattern stayed? My resistance to doing math in college, even. The resistance, not resistance, but fear and shame that I now experience when my kiddo, my 9-year-old, is in fourth grade and he's asking me about divisions and fractions. And I had that fear and shame and guilt of like, oh, I didn't study hard enough. Oh, I didn't know those things as well. Oh, I didn't. That pattern shows up in me being aggravated about his struggle with math, or me not being willing to or wanting to, knowing, right? At this point, I'm aware of these processes. So it's not like I'm being so much led by them, but when I go to help him, I feel it. It happens within me as a pattern, as an experience. And so again, I say, when you have that experience, no matter what point, whether it's middle of road rage, whether it's your kid asking you to help find his cookie cookbook or do his math with him, or your infant crying, or whatever the heck it is, it doesn't matter what it is out here. It's what happens in here and how you meet it when it happens in here. Because that's how you rewrite what happened before back there. Born to Bark, I had a horrible 5th grade teacher that berated you for your handwriting. My handwriting is still pathetic. I would encourage you, especially with the handwriting, with that history and handwriting, to do the two-handed practice that we were talking about before, because that allows you the opportunity, again, to repattern that experience in your mind as you teach yourself to use your non-dominant hand. When we show up for ourselves, thank you, friend. When we show up for ourselves the way that we wanted others to show up, we are building trust with ourselves. And it gets easier as you practice. Yeah, absolutely. It gets easier as you practice. The first time, okay, let me remind you of this too, because this was a big part of my experience that was frustrating. The first time I stop myself or even pause. Let's say I'm triggered. I'm mad. Somebody did something to offend me and I feel like I have every right to yell at them and argue with them. Now I'm already insulting them, berating them, telling them how wrong they are. And suddenly the light bulb comes on. A firefly goes past my field of vision and says, oh shit. Thanks, Alan. Is this who you want to be? Is this really what you want to be? Is this where we want to be? Really? Is this what we're doing right now? You know that voice. I know you felt it, that twinge, that spark, that something. When you experience that, if you can just hold on for a moment, you have the potential to make huge changes. But that first time that you're in the middle of arguing, you're totally justified, you have every fucking reason to do this, the energy is built up and ready to be weaponized and directed at the other person, it feels like moving a mountain. It feels like ripping yourself off a Velcro wall. You know those cool games where you get a whole Velcro suit and then you jump to the wall? Good luck getting off that thing. The first time you do it, your body and your brain are probably going to be screaming, no, 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 no. We have to defend ourselves. We have to yell at them. We have to say this shit. We have to be heard. Remember that those are the old patterns begging for you to listen to them. Not the other person that you're weaponizing your past at, but you. And the next time you do it, it gets a little bit easier. And the next time you do it, you might have a huge flood of emotion and it doesn't feel easier. But the next time you do it, that emotion isn't so big. And the next time you do it, it's almost easy that time. And then the next time you do it, it's going to be fucking hard as hell because it's deeply an emotion that came out of somewhere deep, right? And the next time you do it, you might even laugh when you notice it. I was almost going to do the thing. I didn't. I didn't have to. And this is where you become the first mate to your captain. I personally, my ego told me that it was my captain, that I was my captain. And in my practice, in my process, in my presence with all of this, I am not the captain. Maybe there's a not yet, but I can definitely be the first mate. And my first job before I become the captain is learning to be a good first mate, because the first mate is responsible for relaying the qualms and the complaints of the crew to the captain, to relaying the wise and calmly delivered message to the chaotic din that is the rest of you inside of yourself. You know when that wisdom comes in, and it comes in like a gentle breeze, like a butterfly that floats through your awareness. You can't grab it, you can't capture it, but the experience of it is something that we chase. We end up chasing. Or we end up swatting away. Get out of my, get out of my. Tiny little whispers. When we're so used to listening to ego. Orange Park, haha, the Velcro suit and wall. Was it Letterman or Conan that did that? I don't know. I can imagine both of them doing that. Shannon, wait, so within this parliament, who are you and who do you strive to be? A great question to ask yourself. Great question to ask yourself. I wanted to be the captain as a Virgo. Speaking from Virgo, I really wanted to be the captain. And in classic Virgo style, I showed up not quite totally willing to do the job, even if it wasn't in my best interest. It took humility. It took facing shame and guilt and fear to instead realize or take the role as the first mate. Born to Bark, some captains are obsessed with white whales. I have Picard as a captain. So again, it's important for us to recognize that ego and our emotions are likely to show up and tell you that they are your captain. If your captain is leading you astray or is leading you, it's not so simple. But my captain is leading me to all this chaos because the chaos is actually the fire that clears the forest floor for the new growth. But we don't see it as chaos because we don't want to be in a storm, and we want our captain to lead us through only clear waters. But our captain will never only lead us through clear waters, but they will help us navigate every single storm that arises with willingness, with curiosity, with a kind of grace and wisdom that we often cannot access down here, which is why I say I am, again, not my captain. Who is my captain? It's my higher self. And that higher self can be an effigy of source, of my connection to the wiser collective consciousness that we can all access. That's my higher self. I think sometimes it's kind of like accepting the faith, trusting in God, right? As a non-denominational reverend, I understand source as source. and whatever manifestation that source comes in as is the source. But to trust that source, to trust the source energy to always flow in the path of least resistance to bring you to your highest good is faith. That doesn't mean that your captain is always going to keep you safe, because the waters are dangerous. There's fucking sharks out there. There are hurricanes. Your captain will lead you through it so that you can see the sun again. See, it's Picard. Blindly evolving. I transmuted rage into laughter last week, and it was incredibly freeing. The person trying to degrade me was shocked. Bam! I call that a huge win, blindly evolving. Yes. Transmuting rage into laughter, because honestly, the energies are actually very similar, right? There's so much going on. Hey, Large, sending you lots of love. There's so much going on. And it bubbles from you, right? It's almost uncontainable. I learned pretty young that one of the best ways to diffuse somebody who is being aggressive or diffuse anger was laughter as well. But I also realized that when you do it to somebody else's anger, that it can be also a little dangerous. So it's a good thing you're doing that. Yeah, I'm glad they were shocked. So if I'm looking for my captain and I'm trying to find this balance and I'm trying to understand what my role is in here, right? My role, not ego, not emotions, not any other, but the stillness, the presence, the centeredness that is me. One of the things that can be helpful is a mudra that releases ego clinging. Bella B, laughing and sobbing are the same action in different octaves. Yeah, well said. Born to bark, sometimes just space. A pause and distance is needed in conflict, time to center. So let me offer a mudra. This one is the Pralamba mudra. It's not, my pronunciation is not perfect. I'm going to write it up here for you. Can you see that? Pralamba. Pralamba, mudra. This mudra we hold down at the solar plexus. This is a mudra that I'm using for the third eye month, because while it targets the solar plexus, it also weakens the ego grasping of the solar plexus. Our ego is rooted in our solar plexus and is influenced by other parts. But remember, our emotions are rooted in our sacral. Our ego is rooted in our solar plexus. So if you want to weaken ego grasping and cultivate a sense of benevolence within yourself and a sense of connection to something higher, basically opening the door or creating space for source to speak through you, be with you, without ego popping up and being like, hey, wait, you're supposed to pay attention to me. This is how this mudra works. So you just need two hands nice and flat like so, thumbs out to the side. Bring both thumbs together and just keep your hands extended like so. Flatten them out so that they are facing, palms facing the earth, and bring this right to your solar plexus. I imagine that almost as soon as you touch it to your solar plexus, you may feel some movement. If you have a lot of imbalance or a wounded solar plexus, sometimes the initial experience of mudras that target the solar plexus can be a little overwhelming or can feel really similar to anxiety. Yeah, Belly B, I belched, right? Perfect. So that it is moving your digestive system. It's creating space in your digestive system. It's relieving tension in your digestive system. The tension that is the ego clinging, grabbing, holding of the energy of your ego energy. Sir, I know. My ego is not my enemy. Born to bark, I accept your mudra pronunciation. Thank you, friend. Good boy. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you, dog. So it releases the clinging of the energy patterns of ego. Ego often very quickly says, no, you need me. You need me to hold on super tight to all these ideas that I have and all these patterns that we've got going on, because if you don't, everything's going to fall apart. That's from a place of fear. And that's from the past. Shannon, wow, huge rush, pushing, flowing down and away. Beautiful. That sounds like root chakra release. That sounds like it could be sacral chakra release. Most every person I meet who's born and raised in the West has wounding in their first three chakras. So if one of these practices is too intense for you, please be gentle. Meet yourself with curiosity and willingness. If this Pralamba mudra is too intense, I immediately put it to my belly and my gut goes blah, 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 blah. And so I have to decide at any point, like, is that okay for my system right now? Or is this too much for my system right now? This is also why we suggest, hey, Red Mama Yeti, this is also why we suggest doing mudras for interesting, I just got thwarted. Mudras for a minimum of 5 minutes. You want to sit for mudras with a minimum of 5 minutes. But if it does not suit you, if it does not feel good, and there's a difference, I think you know the difference between, whoa, that's feeling versus, that's scary, or that doesn't feel good. Yes, you had to stop. Thank you, Jenny. Welcome in. Born to Bark. My guess is your book addresses why Western society causes harm to those chakras. Yes. So I point out in my book why at different each chakra, how and why our culture is targeting those particular chakras, right? Think of it like this: fear-based marketing. Fear-based marketing, or we mentioned fear of missing out marketing, right? That's going to be fear-based marketing is going to aggravate your root chakra. Think about it this way. If my system is out of balance and therefore there are unmet needs in my system, I'm not talking about trauma. I'm not talking about who done it or what or any of that. Simply that your system decided based on the experience in your earliest months or years that you were not safe. Right? If you were not safe, then your body's going to operate from that point. Yes, Ginger, just thumbs together over solar plexus. So if we're not feeling safe, then it's really easy. Somebody doesn't feel safe, then we can market things like security systems, insurance, ideas or ideals or things. Oh, you'll be safe if you have that really big paycheck, or oh, you'll be safe if you live in this neighborhood. Oh, you'll be safe if you avoid those people. Oh, you're not safe, so you have to go protect yourself and your family. Oh, the world is coming to an end, so you better prep for that and make sure that you like Erwin, what happens when you put the mudra on the forehead? I encourage you to move your mudras around. You are your own guru. And in fact, I further encourage you to keep a journal about your mudras, or go to my Patreon page and I have something called the Inner Light Map. That is a 4 or 5 page PDF that's meant to be a journal that you can print out as many copies as you want. And you can actually use that to chart where your energy is that day, how it feels, how it moves, draw about it, write about it. And then you can also chart and track your tools. So for this mudra, for example, if you wanted to try moving it from here up to here, then chart that in the PDF, right? In the inner light map or just in your journal. Again, I've got cool things to sell you if you want to buy something that's already pre-made for you and you don't want to have to create it yourself, or you can just go get a journal and to write these things down and go, okay, I tried this for 5 minutes at my solar plexus and here was my experience. And then 15 minutes later or immediately after, I held it up here. Now, mind you, there are other mudras up here for the crown chakra that are similar or a little bit different. Whew, that one was really intense. We're doing the crown chakra next month, so I'm not offering the mudras yet. We're doing the crown chakra next month. Here's another one, Erwin. Hey, Lind. Here's another one, Erwin, that is held up. Well, this one's actually held. Shankavarta mudra is held at the heart, but you can also hold it at the third eye as well. It's more commonly held that way. And this one is helps develop our intuition. This one is kind of like the light hanging in the darkness. Imagine this, the womb here. We bring all of our fingertips to touch each other, fingertips close together, thumbs out, fingers touch at the top, thumbs touch at the bottom, creating this nice little space there. And then you drop your index finger. Let me move it this way so you guys can see. Drop the index finger, the right index finger, just right there inside the space. It's just that first knuckle bend. Then we hold it either at the heart or you can hold this up at your third eye too. There's a mudra for intuition, specifically for clearing the channel. But remember that we have a tendency in the West to go like balls to the wall, no pain, no gain, all the way, go big or go home kind of crap. When you're working with your energy body, that's not the intention. As 006 has shared with us, you can experience adverse effects. You can experience adverse symptoms when you're too intense. Let me move this little box. When you're too intense with your energy body. So, Shankavarta mudra. The other thing, this one I don't like so much because I've got shoulder stuff. And so an adaptation I use for this one is to drop my elbows and to open the mudra just a little bit. I'll anchor it here to my heart and allow it to fall down just a little bit like this. It makes it much easier for me to hold it without causing tension in my system. This is a really nice one too. I think I missed some questions there. Oh, Spirit of Dreams. Sorry, I did miss several things. Hold on. I missed several things. Let me get back to these. Darcy, would this mudra cause anxiety? Starting to feel a little anxious. This mudra can absolutely cause anxiety. So remember, ego manifests to stand in the place of our essence and to support protecting our essence. So if ego, which most of us operate in, tells you that unless it's in charge, you're not safe, which is our actual experience, our body and our physical experience, our energetic experience, our emotional experience, that when ego steps down or crumbles or steps aside, suddenly, who the fuck are we? Wait, I don't have my defenses. I feel like a weird, vulnerable person, right? Like, those of you who've learned how to move ego to the side, right? It doesn't always feel safe. And that's, again, not because it's not safe. It's because ego has been driving the ship for so long that it's protesting. Now, again, your system will protect you from even yourself if it has to. So we don't fight ego. We don't amputate. We don't make him walk the plank. We don't shut him down. We sit down at the table with ego and say, I know that feels scary. And I trust. If you're willing, and if it's true, right? If you're willing to ask ego to step aside, do it for the sake of trust. Do it for the sake of building a relationship with ego and say, I know you've been driving the ship for so long. Holy fuck, thank you. I was absent. Yep. I was misled. Yep. I was emotional or chaotic or just dense. Yeah. Thank you, ego, for all that you do. And for maybe these 5 minutes, for maybe just 5 minutes, can I hold the wheel for a little bit? Can I try driving the ship? And as I did, you may hear, fuck no, you're going to crash us. No, you're not good at driving the ship. You may hear immediate self-talk. Remember, that is rooted in ego clinging. So when we do a practice that weakens ego clinging, we may likely experience ego saying, wait a minute, are you sure we want to do this? But ultimately, you are actually the one in charge, not ego, not those emotions. We just have to learn to stand more confidently in that space. And as I said before, too intense and too forceful and ignoring ego and saying, shut up, ego, and sit down, we're going to do this, is maybe not the best way to develop that trusting relationship with ego. Otherwise, ego is just going to fight back, right? Everything that you push out is going to return to you in terms of your energy body and your ego and your emotions. So that's why I say curiosity and willingness. If you can at least meet them with curiosity and willingness. Curious, woo, so curious that all that anxiety is rolling through me. But I'm willing. I'm willing, as long as it feels okay to do so. I'm willing to sit with it. I'm willing to see where this goes. Will ego maybe step back for a minute or not? Shit, that whole 5 minutes, ego was not ready to step back. Assess the actual risk, right? Because our ego is very good at telling us there's tigers everywhere. Yes?
How much longer?
Maybe a half hour or so. And then I don't know where that book is, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it right this second.
I don't know what I'm going to do for that half hour.
Well, again, do you want to just have some mochi for breakfast for a minute, and then I'll get to it? I know that it's a bummer, but this is also the one day a week that I teach. Okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking of stuff that I can do in the morning.
It's not even morning now. It's 1 o'clock.
I already had some ice cream, so what do I want to do?
Spirit of dreams in pelvic floor therapy, and I've been feeling a lot of irritation and frustration when exercising. Feels hard to push past, have to stop. Especially in regard, spirit dreams, to pelvic floor therapy, you're talking about the root of your being. And you're talking about a place that I think this lends itself a little bit to ego too. Where ego says, if you let go of the tension that we have in your pelvic floor, if you let go of that holding and that gripping on really tight, we might float away. Something bad might happen, right? Because that pattern of holding, of tension in our pelvic floor is related to that feeling of feeling unsafe. And so if ego is standing in the way, or the energy patterns are standing in the way and saying, it's because we feel unsafe. It's because the world is unsafe. Don't undo that. Don't unlock, don't unhold. I've been holding on to this for a really fucking long time. Which is why, again, negotiation, being present with yourself, being willing to do smaller versions of the practice until you feel safe enough to continue. This is a huge reason why I encourage everyone not only just to go to classes if you feel called to go to classes, but if you can do some of these practices either on your own or with somebody, ideally with somebody who's very supportive and in person with you, you might actually have more progress doing it at your pace than you would doing it at whatever is prescribed by a set of practices, because it's not unique to you. It's just a framework that's meant to meet everybody's needs, but it doesn't meet everybody's needs when it's the average of everybody, because nobody is average, right? Aw, born to bark. Ego is a snowflake, always scared to be found out it's just fluff. And yet, what a beautiful cloak, right? For so many years of speaking bad about ego, I really try to focus on the positive ways that I can boost and support my ego and talk about how beautiful and wonderful and helpful it is, because that lends itself. Because what am I doing when I'm talking to ego? I'm talking to me. I'm still talking to me. So if I'm talking to my ego and being like, you're such a snowflake, I'm still talking to me in that regard. And so it's radical. It feels radical. It feels revolutionary. It feels absurd, right? To turn to yourself and really just speak positively. And every time I start hearing that negative self-talk, I switch around, not changing the negative self-talk, but speaking directly to the negative self-talk as if it's another entity and being like, hi, I hear that you're throwing emotional arrows at me. Is there something that you need? It seems that you're having a meltdown. It seems that you're having an emotional reaction. I can be the loving and compassionate parent that I so desperately wanted and needed when I was a child, by treating my inner parts, my inner voices, my emotional reactions as the children that they are born from. Darcy, yeah, it only took a minute or two for the anxiety to hit. As soon as I stopped, it went away. So again, mudras, we want to try to hold for a minimum of 5 minutes, because it takes about 5 minutes for energy to circulate fully through our systems. However, and plus, if you do it for 3 minutes and you're like, this is really intense, then pause. If you're willing, you can come back to the practice and see if you can go a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. But if all you can start with is 3 minutes, start with 3 minutes. You know, pushing yourself beyond for some arbitrary marker or checkpoint is denying the unique reality of your system. Spirit of dreams. Yes, that resonates. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's just standard protocol. It's like the idea that when we try to meet the needs of everybody, of the masses, what we do is average it out, but nobody is actually average. And so nobody's needs actually get met. It's a really terrible, again, a thing of imperialism, a thing that capitalism does, a thing that our government and religion do, right? Put you into these little boxes and say, you must fit in these boxes. And if you don't fit in these boxes that are meant for nobody, then, then there's something wrong with you, buddy. No, they're not meant for anybody to fit in. Yes.
Man, I wish I started playing Minecraft.
What? I've got 20 minutes left.
That wasn't even half an hour.
Well, it's 10 minutes. Half an hour is 30 minutes. 10 minutes went by.
Okay. An episode of nothing is that long.
Okay, yes. You can go watch an episode.
Or maybe play some Minecraft. I'll get off that.
My concern is literally just the data that it takes for you to pull the internet to that side of the house and me to pull the internet to this side while I'm streaming on 2 platforms, and then you want to do Minecraft where it's got to do all the stuff with Minecraft. So I'm okay with you just watching a show for a minute, 1 episode or so. Okay. And then I'll come in, and I'm sure your book is like right there. I'm sure it's right here.
Okay.
And then we can, I love you too, honey. Let me catch up a little bit here. Sorry, guys, I missed. Born to bark. My dogs teach me to understand base reactions as all and also unconditional love. Yeah, absolutely. It's a blessing for our familiars, our animals, to teach us these things, right? And we have that capacity within ourselves for unconditional love. It becomes conditional when we believe in conditions. And we've been conditioned to believe that there are conditions to everything. Oh, you're hungry? Yeah, well, you can get fed if, right? Okay, Shannon, so you shift the voices of entities within your parliament. I'm shifting my analogy right now, Shannon, to this parliament space. Because in my mind, in my reality, it's a pirate ship. I do not have the experience of my members, my crew, being quiet and agreeable, sitting in seats as I imagine Parliament to be. Mine feel more like a ship that's got all of this chaos and mutiny on it and struggles, and somebody's fighting for the helm, and somebody's fighting for this job, and somebody's fighting for that job, and somebody doesn't like what somebody else is doing. And that has been my experience for most of my life. And I was literally just in the mix of it, in the middle of it, trying to open boxes and go underneath and fuck with the ship myself and crashing into the rocks and like, oh my God, how the hell do we, how do we human? How do humans human? I'm tired of peopling. This peopling sucks. I got a human because I'm humaning. I don't know. I was looking for my captain. I was looking for the tools. I was looking for the wisdom. I was looking for the insights. I was looking for the maps and the charts and the compass so I could fucking navigate the world. It was what sent me to school for all of this stuff and to study all of this stuff so I could find the tools. And what I realized in fighting all those tools was that I wasn't the captain, but those tools allowed me to meet my captain. And the tools allowed me to meet my mutinous pirates, my untamed wild beasts of emotions and thoughts and fears and energy. I still don't think any I'm trying to sit in the imaginary space of even imagining myself standing on the ship and everyone giving me their full and undivided attention. I have moments of it, especially in when I use mindfulness. Mindfulness is typically a way for me to then get in that centered space and remind everybody. It's like when somebody hears something, right, and in the room and you go shh. That's what I do with my pirates now. A big part of what I do with my pirates, because curiosity and willingness. If I can trigger the curiosity, did you hear that? What? I don't know. Where is it? That? Have you ever seen those social experiments where somebody will stop on the street and start staring up at something? I used to do absurd social experiments on my own before social media did the things. I was just a shenanigan creator. But one of the social experiments that I've done is I've been in a random place and I just stop and I stare up at something. And when somebody asks me what I'm looking at, I'm like, I can't tell, but look at it. It's right there. And people will eventually see it, and people will stop, and people will wait with you, and people will be in awe with you. You can do that to your inner parts. It's kind of this is why laughter is the best medicine. Something about never losing your connection to childhood, something about approaching all of yourselves like their children, as well as from a childlike place of compassion and openness and willingness and curiosity to understand and to be present with and to play. To play. Your greatest strength is play. And we are taught to be so fucking serious. Greetings, Bet. Welcome in. Great to see you too. So I think you asked a question. So you shift the voices. I don't control them. I meet them. I invite them. I negotiate with them. I play. I laugh with them. I tell them stories. I become the ship mom. Okay, Lynn, you asked, how does the back of the head connect with the third eye? It's different than figuring it out. Pain. Okay, so the front of the third eye is here at the brow, where we most commonly are familiar with, right? The back of the third eye is actually at the base of the skull, is at the pineal gland. And so where your spine comes up and meets your skull, you can kind of stick your thumb in there just a little bit. That is your third eye. The back of your third eye. That's why it's important to decalcify your pineal gland. We talked last week about a really good practice for decalcifying the pineal gland, especially as we move through the equinox and into a new season. I encourage you to spend time with the sun. One of my favorite ways and simplest ways, not, I don't know, maybe not simple. Water is the simplest way to decalcify your pineal gland, good fresh water. Another way that I really love that encourages you to get outside and maybe stand barefoot in the dirt is to do sun eating with your third eye. How do we do that? Close your eyes, go outside first, make sure you don't trip over anything. Don't look into the sun, okay? Go outside, kick those shoes off, stand in some dirt, stand in some grass, close your eyes, and then turn your vision until you find the sun. Most of us can, at least through our eyelids, can at least see some of that light. So you're going to get a good, at least, estimation of where the sun is. Once that happens, focus your attention up to your third eye. You can do that by turning your actual eyeballs up to your third eye. It's why you see yogis meditating with that whole like eyes slightly open thing, because they're looking up at their third eye. So that can be a strain on the muscles and can be a little bit hard for some of us. So if that's too much for you, don't worry about doing that piece. Just receive that directly through the sun rays, directly through that third eye. If you need a visual or you want a visual, just imagine those sun rays coming through and clearing everything out. Again, the same way as if you open your door, your window on a sunny morning and that sunshine just comes pouring in, warming up the wood, warming up the air, disturbing the little sleeping creatures, right? Whatever it is that's in the space, making the spiders run off to the corners of the of the room. I'm born to bark. What are you barking at? And he's a healer too, so he's really yappy. My book is taunting you. Red Mommy Eddie, Jack Sparrow on the ship with himself. One of the reasons I loved that movie so much was because of the experience of Jack Sparrow and the way they did the character and that, especially like his psychosis. I was like, somebody gets me. And he shows up with just shenanigans all the time. Like, you cannot expect this guy to be a straight shooter because it's just all happening in whatever ways that it's going to happen. It reminds me very much of the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas character. I felt like he really just kind of transformed that character into a into a kid-friendly character with Jack Sparrow, which I also really love because I'm like, that's your pure chaos. I love it. Agent of Chaos. Yeah, Born to Bark. Why is it when you mention crew, I end up thinking of the Black Pearl and Captain Jack? Because it's like that. Actually, instead, I would not instead, because previous to Captain Jack, I have always been a huge Popeye fan. I ate my spinach regularly, multiple times a day, because I wanted to be like Popeye, the guy, the person who was just quiet and unassuming for the most part, and then when somebody really needed the right thing needed to happen, he showed up and did the right thing, and out of nowhere got all of this energy and power to do it. I was a huge Popeye fan. Now, he wasn't really a pirate, so to speak. He was a sailor, but I always thought of him very much like a pirate because he did it when it was necessary, regardless of what anybody said or thought about it. And Robin Williams broke my heart as Popeye. But you once had TikTok and you were following me on. It took you forever to find me on here. Oh, darn. I wish there was better ways for me to be more exposed. I know YouTube does not push out my content at all. It's very hard. It's a little bit hard to find me over there unless you are directly going to move with change. Luckily, TikTok does a little bit of putting out my content, but mostly TikTok just hides my content because I'm telling you guys what TikTok is doing and what the powers that be are doing. YouTube just says, we'll just leave her in her own corner. TikTok says, no, don't say that. You can't tell them that. It will ruin the illusion. Do not pull back the curtain. Don't look into the sun, and the plastic bag is not a toy. Let me see. Born to Bark. He said, if there's an elephant in the room, that tends to be the first thing I'll talk of. Breaking protocol. That's one of my favorite ways to show up. Again, agent of chaos, agent of change. Nothing to see here. How about this shopping network? Thank you for joining. I don't know. I forgot. I used to prank my mom and call, or I'd wait till she called me and then I'd answer the phone and say, "Thank you for calling Wells Fargo. For English, press 1. Para español, marque número dos." And I'd wait. And sometimes she'd hang up. Sometimes she'd press a button too. I was like, why did you press a button? Yeah. Again, shenanigan shaman definitely comes from like deeper rooted shenaniganing through life. I as a baby witch in my teen years learned to, and this is going to sound wild, but this is legitimate, learned to bend space. So again, you guys maybe don't know if you're just here. I adopted my family's lineage of energy work. My mother gifted me with our family's lineage of energy work when I was really young, started me on the basics, and gave me the gift of keeping those channels open and those channels of perception and experience open, and taught me very young how to move that stuff on purpose. And also, through very traumatic experiences when I was younger, I was pushed out of body many times. I was literally out of my body watching abuse happen or watching something happen that I had to observe. And in that regard, it sort of broke my concept of time and space to mean a different thing than I was being taught and I was being told and that other people were willing to talk about. So point being, teenager, that's right. So I built upon this understanding and I thought it meant I should be a practice Wicca, right? And there's nothing against Wicca. I'm not gonna, I don't shame anybody for whatever choices you make in your life. It was not for me. But I went and wanted to practice this on my own. And so the first things I was practicing were illusionary things, because I understood that it was about my intention, my attention, and my ability to convince somebody else of the truth, of my truth that I was painting over the reality of theirs. So I had to put in their mind or in their experience that I did not exist there, or I had green eyes, or I was this way or that way, right? I worked on a lot of those illusionary things. I also was a runner. I would run away from home because of all the crap going on in my home. So the tendency was, if I was not in the house when I was supposed to be, I was probably really fucking far away already. There was one instance where I intentionally didn't do that. I wanted to see if I could make myself invisible to my mother. My mother was mad at me. She had grounded me. So I took off out the window, ran not even very far. We had a plum orchard in our neighbor's yard. And she had to go through there from the backyard to basically go what direction I would have been. She was in the front of the house. She would have seen me. So I had to go that way. So she went back into the plum field and she is walking through there. And you see her looking far. Her attention is already far away. And I knew she'd be doing that because that's what I did. I run off and I take off and she'd have to come catch me. So instead, I stopped in a closer tree. And plum trees, if you know plum trees, they're not these massive, huge trees. And I was a kind of small kid, but I climbed up into one of the plum trees, essentially at her eye level. I wasn't even wearing purple or anything. I was just wearing whatever the heck I was wearing. And I got in that tree and I focused everything on creating. I wonder if I should share that practice with you. Yes, sure. Okay. That was an immediate yes. Okay, the practice I was using, and it's a practice that you can use as well, and the more you sit with it, the more it will resonate within you, and the more effective it will be in your life. You can surround yourself with an energy bubble. I was taught by my mother that this energy bubble comes from your heart, just like your toroidal field of energy comes from your heart. So as you're setting up this bubble, you can use your breath, inhaling, and as you exhale, let that bubble expand around you. Let it go slowly and give it all of your attention, all of your focus. Inhale again. Maybe the bubble contracts a little bit. Exhale some more and push that bubble out around you. You don't want it too big around you for this particular practice, but just make sure that it's big enough around you that this sphere can encapsulate your whole body. Once you have this sphere all around you, I invite you in your mind's eye to look through that sphere, and you can see the iridescence, just like a bubble. You can see the way that the colors shift and move around it, like it's got its own life to it, all the way around that bubble. Notice the light, the way that it interacts with the edges of this bubble. Notice the gentle glow that it gives off in all directions from this bubble. Very, very, very gentle glow. Now notice the way the bubble suddenly becomes a mirror image of everything around you. Hold that. If it shifts back to the colors, come back to the mirror image. Within you, inside the bubble, you can see outside of it. You can see that iridescence. You can see that sheen of the mirrored exterior. But anyone looking inside sees nothing but the world around. Here's the trick. Time and space are illusions, and they're directly connected to what we believe and what we perceive. So in that scenario, my mother expected, thank you, Mr. Mystic, me to be much further away. There's like, that would have been so silly for me to hide in the tree when I'm about to, trying to run away. No way she expected me to be there. I sat completely still, completely stoic, held my breath even as she walked by me. And when I tell you this woman walked by me and turned back and stared directly fucking through me and then went to walk away, the chill, the full visceral experience of being looked through like that made me laugh. She immediately saw me. She saw me, she looked through me, turned away this way, and the feeling of being looked through made me go, whoa. And she turned right fucking back and she saw me. Because I broke the illusion. I added the piece, the understanding that I was there through the sound, through her experience, her perception of the reality. Time and space are so much more malleable than you've been taught. And you have the capacity. In fact, you have already changed your experience of time and space. You've already experienced the difference between when you're super, super excited about something and the time just fucking drags on. Or you're really having a great time and the time just disappears. Or you're doing a project like a painting project or cooking or sewing or whatever, something that really brings you this full inflow experience. Before you know it, you've been doing that for almost 4 hours. And it seems like just a few minutes. Your perception of time, your experience altered your ability to perceive and experience that time. How do we do these things? How do we find these rhythms? How do we start to change our experience of time more intentionally? With mindfulness, with awareness of the flow and the interaction of our energy body and of the beliefs therein and the patterns therein and the way that they are triggered by the external world. Bet. What a trip, Blindly Evolving. It was a trip. It tickled me to my core. Bet the past and the present and the future combine. The past is just a dream. My brain stores dreams, memories that I've witnessed somebody else experiencing something, movies, stories others have told me, books I have read. My brain stores all of them. So does yours, in the exact same way. When I retrieve those things, I retrieve it in the exact same way, all of them. The past is just a dream. The future is undetermined, not even guaranteed. And because I'm stuck in this little temporal illusion of time and now and the ever present now, the future does not yet exist. And therefore, the only thing that is real is now. The most, I shouldn't say the only thing that's real, the most tangible experience is now. Because that's all we ever have is now. And now, and now. And the only reason I know that there's an and now is because I just experienced an and or a now a moment ago. And now. This is why when that emotion comes up, again, get below the emotion. Tension. When tension shows up in your system, you are a vessel for energy to travel and move through the channels within your system. Source energy traveling through your entire body. You're meant to have this energy flowing through you freely, like river pathways, water pathways. Tension says, uh-oh, I'm falling out of balance. Think about it like you're trying to balance on one foot. When you stand up on one foot and try to balance, thank you, Queen. When you stand on one foot and try to balance, what is your body doing as it tries to find your balance for you? Thank you, Bad Wolf. As it tries to find balance, your body tenses and releases and tenses and releases and tenses and releases because it's trying to calibrate and find center. When I find center, let's say you're on one foot and you're balancing. What happens when you finally find the balance? What does that feel like? No tension is left in your system, only intention. And if you try balancing and finding center, holding tension in your body, it's actually harder to hold balance if you're holding tension in your body. Part of finding balance is releasing all the rest of the tension, leaving what? What's the only thing remaining? If tension is gone from my system, but I'm still upright and in balance, intention. My intention says I'm on one foot and I'm balancing, I'm doing something, right? I have something I'm focused on. And my attention staying focused on that until all the tension releases. Now I'm back to center. I'm balanced. So throughout your day, as you're moving about your life, don't fucking change a thing. You're beautiful. You're perfect. You're exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be, exactly who you need to be. And you're a necessary fucking part of the whole because this entire ocean would not be the same without the drop that is you. This chorus that us as a collective is here to sing and to raise our energy and our voices so that we can resonate together in these things through these processes. As you go about all of that beautiful, unique, fantastic fucking you that you are. If your system says, pause. Listen for your heartbeat. Take some breaths. Give it some breaths. And come back to center. Imagine that if instead of once a week doing this 2-hour-long yoga class, hoping for enlightenment, what if instead you simply met yourself in the real moment, in the present moment, in the most tangible moment each time? Again, breadcrumbing. We think that change happens because we reliably go once a week to something, or because we do self-care a couple of times a week. It's sadhana. It's the daily meeting yourself where you're at in that moment with curiosity and willingness, that we walk ourselves, that we lead ourselves back home. The only way I have found to lead myself back home is right here and right now. Everything you need for your healing, for your alignment, for your purpose, for your life is available to you right here and right now. Oh, I can't go and just open my bank account and boom, there's all the stuff I need. And you are also a human on a journey. And let's take that epic journey. Let's be willing to take that epic journey, but recognize that the abundance of that huge bank account to cover all your shit doesn't come from you chasing the huge bank account. It comes from you learning to see the opportunity and abundance in each moment and take pennies rather than waiting for the fucking lottery. Right? Again, another manipulation. Wait for the lottery. Wait to be really special. Wait until someday you'll win rather than show up every single day in a small way. It doesn't have to be huge. Do something huge if you want to. But again, if you just start with 5 minutes every day, what's my favorite suggestion, guys, right? Barbie, welcome. Thank you, friend. What's my favorite suggestion? 5 minutes first thing in the morning. When you first wake up, especially if you wake up to an alarm, especially. And if not, when you first wake up, first thing you do, keep those eyes closed. Lay your hands on your heart and just be present. What does that mean, be present? That means listen to your breath. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to the sounds in the room you're in. Feel the sensations in your body. Whether you judge them as good or bad is not important. Just be with it. Be present with yourself. Witness yourself. And if you feel like it, ask yourself, what do you need most today? What would you like to do today? What special way can I help you feel seen and heard and loved today? And be curious. Be willing, because some days it'll be like nothing. You can't fucking do anything. Life sucks. Sometimes we just need to hold space for it. Other days it'll be, actually, I know we weren't having coffee for a while, but I'm feeling really tired and maybe we could just have a small cup. Or maybe it's, I want to get up and get a bunch of shit done. And then this evening, I just want to go to sleep early. See if there's a way that you can make space for yourself each day. Bad Wolf, I'm going to want your advisement and counseling soon. I hope you do that. I do that. Pardon me. I have a Patreon page, Move with Change, on Patreon, where I have memberships for coaching. I do group coaching, private coaching, once a month coaching, weekly coaching, variations of it in my coaching sessions. Pardon. In my coaching sessions, you receive access to any and everything that I do. There's a list on my Patreon page of all my certifications and things like that. I think that my son is here asking for my attention, and I did say that I'd get off 10 minutes ago. Born to Bark, making space on Saturdays for you is a blessing. Thank you, friend. Again, I'm so grateful for this space, for being able to share this space with all of you, and for the ways that you all support me and show up and encourage me. And as somebody who is still learning to show up for themselves and learning to value themselves, I can't tell you how valuable it is. And it may not seem big or may seem trivial just to sit here with me for a little bit in the chat while I ramble on about these things that I'm so excited about. You act as a mirror for what I want to see in myself. You act as an opportunity for me to reflect on the parts where I'm still afraid or still uncertain. Thank you for showing up and just allowing me to experiment and to be. And even those of you who come in with judgment or with different ideas or with, I love you too, because you give me the opportunity to stand there, sit here in the face of those things that used to make me cower, and used to make me cry and used to make me hide. And I'd say, why is the world so mean to me? And now I'm going to cry because I love you guys so much. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. So come join us in the Discord. Come follow me on Facebook. No. I'm not even on there. Legitimately not even on there. I don't know why that word came out. I don't even, it doesn't taste good in my mouth. I'm sorry. Okay. So you can follow me on Patreon, on YouTube, and over here on TikTok for free. That's the main places I am. Come join us on Discord. The link is on my Patreon page. And or if you just want a link, you can send me a message directly, or you can comment on my content somewhere. And if you have questions when I'm not live, because right now it is just Saturdays that I'm live, if you have questions in the middle of the week, comment on my content. I do my best to get to every single question on my video, that people comment. And I love TikTok for that. You don't see that over on YouTube because YouTube doesn't have that feature. Over on TikTok, you ask me a question on my content, I can video respond to you, because this is my favorite way to communicate, to tell story, to show up, to make faces, and to be silly. So, tell us how you really feel about that. I'm enamored and I'm overwhelmed sometimes by the kindness and the way that you all show up. I'm sometimes fearful about showing up, especially when I'm not at my best. I'm often afraid that I'm not doing enough and I'm not giving enough away, when really I am learning so much about receiving. And as a Virgo, it's a huge, it's, thank you. It's that. Thank you. So at least go follow me on Patreon. It's free to follow me over there, so you can at least keep up to date on the things that I'm doing and when I change my schedule. And there will be some changes next year, and we are moving into a little bit of a busier schedule for December for sure. We are still in the middle of moving. As a side note, if there's anybody who is interested in hosting my son and I, please let us know. If you live in Oregon, especially, we are looking to build in-person community with people. I have lived in communities many times over my lifetime, and I think that there's also a lot of people out there who are ready for community. And yeah, we are in the middle of a move, and we don't actually have a destination yet. Again. I don't know what that means for us, but for those of you who have space, let us know. For those of you who have the ability to support me through a membership or just through a one-time donation over there in Cash App, remember that you'll be entered in the raffle if you Cash App for a signed copy of my book. And it's those little things that, again, make sure that I can buy my kids some shoes and get some gas for this honking beast of an RV and maybe get us to our next destination. So, and the sale of TikTok may get more like X. We will follow elsewhere. Yeah, definitely, especially with stuff happening on TikTok. I am not going to change my content, and I'm not going to change the way that I show up. I'm tired of shaping myself for best delivery. So if shit goes down on TikTok, at least make sure you're following me on YouTube or the Patreon. Patreon is really the best place because you're going to find links to everywhere else through there. Okay. I'm going to go. I'm going to help him find this cookie book. We're going to make cookies, and maybe we're going to play at the river, and I don't know. We're going to just enjoy life. And I hope you do the same. I love you, YouTube. Thank you for hanging out and recording and keeping my things, replays. And thank you for all of you who follow me over there. I love you so much. Oh, dog.